Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you could find your seats, please. I'm Chuck Sheehan. I'm the chairman of the Stonington Planning and Zoning Commission. This is the August 18th regular meeting of the commission. Let the record reflect that the meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. Thank you all for joining us. I think we have all regular members present here this evening, so there's no alternates to be appointed, but as always, I thank the alternates for being present and their commitment to this commission. What's the commission's pleasure on meeting minutes number 1827 from August 4th, 2026?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for meeting number 1827 from August 4th, 2026 as submitted.
Motion by Ryan to approve. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Second by Gary. Thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is an opportunity for the public to make a brief comment to the commission. We have a heavy agenda tonight, so I would ask that you keep it as brief as possible if you choose to speak. And this is for items that are not on the agenda. Again, not on the agenda. So if anyone has a comment that they would like to address to the commission, I'd like you to come forward and take the mic, introduce yourself, and have at it. Hearing none, we'll move to the next item, correspondence. Paul?
No correspondence for tonight.
No correspondence, thank you. Reports, staff?
The one item that I would like to bring to the commission's attention and the applicants as well is there has been a online scam for phishing going on with every town across actually the country at this point, where people are receiving fraudulent invoices, either from myself, from the chairman. They get creative as well too. So for the commission to know and for the applicants to know that the town will only accept payment directly through us, through our process. You do not get asked to pay multiple times through the land use process. So that's just a general PSA, but that is going on throughout the country right now, and they're asking for everything, from $2,000 to $20,000 I've seen invoices for. So it's pretty detailed and almost
It is, I know, shameful, shameful. Anything else?
Nothing else for tonight.
Anything from any member of the commission? You've all seen the zoning enforcement violation list. Anything for administrative review, Paul?
Nothing.
Nothing. So we move to old business. Ryan, would you just read item A, please?
PZ 2621BR Old Stone Ridge LLC, R. Quinlan, bond release reduction application for work performed under application PZ 2235SD and CAM. Properties are located at 113 Montauk Avenue, Stonington, M/B/L 131-3-6E. Properties are located in the RR80 zone.
I think we have some information in the packet on this. Paul, any comments?
You want to take this one, Manuel?
Sure. So this was inspected by the Department of Public Works, and they recommend only a partial release of the bond, as not all of the improvements have been completed.
Okay, so there's a recommendation for a partial release. I believe it's from the town engineer.
Correct.
What's the commission's pleasure on the application of Stone Ridge for a bond reduction?
If I can clarify, what is the actual amount that is being recommended to release?
There's no amount. There's the total amount for the bond, which is $7,225.
So half of that would be what, about 3,500, 3,600?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the application, but only in the amount of $3,600. No stipulations. Or, pardon me, one stipulation, my apologies. That the applicant shall address the outstanding comments to the satisfaction of the town engineer.
Motion to approve a reduction of $3,600 with one condition. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Both. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains. Motion passes. Bond is reduced. Ryan, item 2.
PZ 2623 Cam A. Cabral and M. Poletschek, I apologize if I pronounced that wrong, as Moran Coastal Area Management Review for the construction of a single-family residence, paved driveway, and associated site improvements. Property is located at 215 Despotus Road, extension Mystic M/B/L 151-4-9A. Property is located in the RA20 zone.
I see we have Seamus Moran here. Evening, Seamus.
Good evening, Commission. Thank you for having me. I am Seamus Moran from H&H Engineering Associates, representing the applicant, Tony Cabral and Mary Polachek. Did I get it? Close? Mary Polachek for their application 215 Pequot Road Extension here in Mystic. Hopefully this will be a quick one. I'll be short. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. This is for Cam.
Apologies, but people won't be able to
Can't
hear
hear
me. The mic is dead again.
Okay.
And unfortunately, you'll have to kind of use this setup.
I'm a hand talker. You have to stick with me. Sorry, guys.
Why don't you move the board back behind the table there? That's it, we can still see it. We have copies.
All right. Good now?
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just make sure you're close enough to the mic.
Yeah.
So we'll pick it up.
Sure.
And everybody in the room can hear you.
I'll just start over. This is the application, or CAM application for 215 Pequot Road Extension. What we're seeking. Oh, all right. Let's try it again. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Just turning into a long presentation.
I'm going to move around my board now. Okay, here we are. Starting over. 215 Pequot Road Extension. This is a vacant lot. There's a drainage pipe that runs through the property right now. We're in the RA20 zone. North on this plan is plan north, so north, south, east, west. Actually, I'm sorry, this is north. I'm looking at the wrong. So north is actually on the left side of the page here. So when I talk about north, it's like that. So on the east side, there's a wetland in the back corner of the back side of the property. Most of the property is undeveloped. There is an existing drainage pipe that runs from the wetland on the east side of the property into the catch basin in Pequot Road Extension, which is on the bottom of the page, which is the west side of the lot. We're here just for a CAM application for a single-family residence. We're proposing a 2-bedroom, 1-story modular home with a crawl space, an attached garage, a two-car attached garage, and an attached shed with a paved driveway. This is on public sewer, so there's a sewer connection. Public water is available in the street, so there's a public water connection. And we're proposing, obviously, a curb cut for the driveway. There's the drainage pipe that runs from east to west across the property from the wetland into Pequot Road Extension. We're planning to replace that pipe. It's already disturbed. It's very old. We're not even sure who put it in. They put it in backwards. The bell is actually backwards on the pipe, so it's dilapidated. It's falling apart. So what we're proposing to do is intercept that pipe, replace a portion of that pipe, intercept it, run it around the new building, and then connect it back into the catch basin in Pequot Road. We're maintaining the same connection, it's the same path. It's just we're improving it by replacing the pipe. You'll see in the review comments, we had deep comments, we had WPCA, town engineer. Most of it was centered on we didn't provide stormwater management originally in the design. It's a single-family residence. We were trying to connect from our rooftop runoff, which is generally considered clean, into the storm system and just get it out because it was going away from the wetland anyway. 3 of the reviewing agencies said we'd prefer to see a best management practice, so what we've done is we've added a stormwater management, a rain garden in the front of the property to manage the runoff from the pavement, from the driveway, and another rain garden in the back of the property to manage the rooftop runoff. So there are 2 rain gardens proposed on the property to manage the water quality event, which is the 1.3-inch storm event. They're actually oversized slightly. One of them, the building rooftop can accommodate 1.4 inches, I believe, and the parking lot, the pavement is about 1.7 inches of runoff. That is the project in a nutshell. We reviewed the town staff comments and recommendations. We don't have any issues with those. And I think that is probably it in a nutshell, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the commission for the engineer? Is the garage modular also, or is the garage stick-built?
It's modular as well. The garage, I should clarify, is slab on grade. The rest of the home is crawl space. And in the back left corner, because we're in the flood zone, I didn't mention that, so we're in the flood zone, AE11. Town requirement is another foot on top of that, so minimum of elevation 12. So our slab of our crawl space is at 8. There's flood vents on 2 of the walls on the crawl space. The existing grade outside is elevation 8, so it allows water to flow in and out of the crawl space. Finished floor elevation is actually 13.3. It's because we have crawl space at 8, underside of the joists are 12, 15 inches of floor structure and joists get us to the 1.3 feet. So we're at finished floor of 13.3, which brings the entire structure of the home outside the flood zone.
Any other questions for the applicant's engineer?
No, I think the only outstanding thing was the rain gardens.
Right. Any comments from the staff?
No, there's the only comments that we have is from the town engineer and
Yeah.
a couple from the zoning enforcement officer, which are just standard conditions of approval.
Correct. Any further comments, Seamus, or is your presentation concluded?
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. What's the commission's pleasure on this application?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the CAM application with the following 4 stipulations. Number 1, the applicant shall address the outstanding comments to the satisfaction of the building official, town engineer, floodplain manager, and zoning enforcement officer. Number 2, any proposed alterations or modifications to the approved site plan as a result of comments from Connecticut Department of Energy or Environmental Protection, CTD, shall be subject to review and approval by the town engineer, zoning enforcement officer, floodplain manager, and commission as necessary. Number 3, final plans shall be reviewed to the satisfaction of the town engineer and zoning enforcement officer. Number 4, the applicant shall post an erosion and sedimentation control bond prior to the issuance of a zoning permit. The bond shall be either in the form of a certified check or a revocable letter of credit meeting the requirements of DR 15.4.3. The bond amount shall be established by the town engineer after an estimate of the cost of installing and maintaining appropriate erosion and sedimentation control measures is provided by the applicant and approved by the town engineer. Work shall remain bonded for a minimum of 1 year from the date of zoning compliance.
Motion with stipulations. Do you agree with all the conditions? Is there a second?
Second.
Made and seconded. Thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains. Motion passes. Thank you, Shane. Brian?
PZ 2627, Cam S. Levine, R. Gladstone, Coastal Area Management Review for the demo and reconstruction of a single-family residence, paved driveway, gravel parking, and associated site improvements. Property is located at 36 Rose Lane, Stonington, M/B/L 126-6-3. Property is located in the RR 80 and RC 120 zones.
Is there anyone here for this application? Yes, Chairman, it's me today. Yeah.
Oh, Seamus.
Yeah. So Ross from my office, I couldn't be here today, I'm just filling in for him, so I'll just do the
You're
presentation.
nice.
So I'm here. This is another one, stop me if you've heard this, we have a stormwater management practice, it's a rain garden. It's a vacant residential lot, I'm sorry, it's not a vacant lot, it's a residential lot in the RR 80 district. And it currently, what you see before you is the existing conditions plan. There's a 1-story, 1-bedroom home on the property with a detached garage, gravel driveway, and they have a cesspool and a drilled well, and also a dug well on the property. What we're looking to do is, we've been working with MBB Architects. Chris Renat has done a great job with the client, and in getting them exactly kind of what they want in a modest footprint. We're looking to take down the existing 1-bedroom, single-story house and construct a 2-story, 4-bedroom home, and that requires a new septic system. So we have a new septic system shown on here. You can see the house in this location here. New septic system off to the east. The septic system was approved by Ledgely Health District on August 8th, I believe it was. We're adding to the driveway. It's now a paved driveway with a crushed stone parking area. You can see the topography is a little challenging as it slopes off in the back of the property. What you see here is there's 2 retaining walls, boulder retaining walls, to provide a walkout basement on one side of it. We're outside the flood zone. It's flood zone X, 500 year, comes kind of right through the back of the property here. So we're outside the flood zone. We do have a new septic system approved, we have a new parking area, and we have a rain garden, again, that's sized for the water quality storm. It's designed to manage the runoff from the building rooftop and the parking area and the pavement. For the 1.3-inch storm event, it's actually the 1.35-inch storm event. So it's, again, slightly oversized, but that's just, it's just how it worked out. New drilled well, there's a well there now, but it's in the location of where the house wants to go, so we're drilling a new well. Again, that meets health code requirements of 25 feet from the home. And I think that's probably it for me
Why
for
don't
now.
you take 2 minutes to explain, so everybody understands it, what the new storm drainage regulation by deep is and what it's designed to do?
Sure.
Because it applies to everything from a shopping center to a single-family house.
Of course. So when I say the 1.3-inch storm event, it's the water quality event, and they call it the water quality event because 90% of the pollutants in stormwater come out in that first flush, the first 1.3 inches of rainfall. So when you have a 1.3-inch storm event, it accounts for 90% of the pollutants. So what you do is you take the stormwater that's generated from that, you run it through some sort of water quality treatment practice to cleanse the stormwater before it gets into the groundwater, before it discharges to a wetland area. So that's why the first line of defense is treating that 1.3-inch storm event. It's the quality event. Anything above that is quantity, just so you don't flood your neighbors. On bigger developments, you certainly have to manage peak rates. So you're not flooding your neighbor for the 2-year, 10-year, 2,500-year storm events, but no matter what, you want to cleanse the water for the 1.3-inch storm event. So that's why most of these coastal area management applications require treatment of the water before it gets into the water body downstream.
It's very significant in terms of small projects because it adds considerable cost to both the design and construction. And thank you, that was an excellent explanation, appreciate it. Any questions from the staff of Seamus?
Nope, no questions.
No questions from the commission?
No.
Any comments from the staff?
No comments other than the ones that the
Yeah, the stipulations.
the stipulations, yeah, and the comments from the building official.
If there are no comments from the commission and no further comments from the staff, what's the commission's pleasure on the application?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the CAM application, this CAM application with the following 3 stipulations. Number 1, the applicant shall address the outstanding comments to the satisfaction of the building official and zoning officer. Number 2, any proposed alterations or modifications to the approved site plan as a result of comments from the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, CTD, shall be subject to review and approval by the town engineer, town planner, and commission as necessary. And number 3, final plans shall be reviewed to the satisfaction of the building official and zoning officer.
Motion to approve with 3 conditions from Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Both, any comments on the motion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains, motion passes. Thank you, Seamus.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Okay, we're now going to move to the public hearing phase, and the first item is continued, so we don't have to read the ad, but why don't you just paraphrase it so everybody knows what it is?
I will make a motion to reopen the public hearing for PZ 2619ZC, Redco Holdings LLC and Redco Hookset LLC, Robinson and Cole LLP, care of J. Casey.
Motion to reopen public hearing PZ 619ZC of Redco Holdings LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Public hearing is reopened. Evening, Counselor.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. For the record, my name is John Casey. I'm a partner with the law firm of Robinson Cole, representing the applicants tonight. As you said, this is a continuation of the hearing from 2 weeks ago. Since then, we have actually engaged in a lot of activity. There was some comments, and we tried, we endeavored, and I think we succeeded in answering all those comments, as you'll hear through the course of our presentation tonight. And just to set the stage again, this is an application to expand an existing neighborhood development district. We are not asking to create a new NDD. As we thought about this, and there were some comments about why you would do this, why are we doing this? It's basically, I don't want to say the same word again, but we want to expand the existing NDD. We want to expand what's been approved there onto neighboring abutting parcels, because as we found, as the developer has found, the market for the uses, for the residential use, for the technology center has expanded even since in the short time, relative short time, that this has been approved. And to meet that demand, we looked at the parcels in the area. We, the developer, found that they had the ability to acquire those parcels and to relocate the existing uses across more area, again, to meet that demand. We're not proposing any new uses. We already approved for a technology center, but that tenant, there is a tenant that's in line to take all that space. When they saw the original building, they said, that's great, but we could use more. Well, we couldn't fit any more on the corner, so we looked to expand. So that's what we're here to do. To be clear on the record, I know there was a comment, we're not proposing a data center. We have a tenant that the developer has been working with. It's a single tenant who, when they looked at this, they looked at what was approved down in the south end, and they liked it. They liked the NDD, they liked the campus feel, they liked being part of a larger development, but they just needed more. And when they asked for more space, we looked at the NDD and said, this is the way to accomplish that. We can't accomplish it on 2 or 3 HI 60 parcels because we have things like buffer zones that we have to respect. And instead of having walkable buildings close to each other, we'd have 50 feet of buffer between the spaces. So we think the NDD allows this flexibility. If we were just trying to throw a NDD up in a HI 60 zone, not connected to another one, we would understand the concern that we're just maybe trying to fit a round peg into a square hole, but that's not what we're doing. We're expanding an existing development, and we're trying to make it one unified development, but with appropriate separation and location of the uses, so we don't have a great deal of office, commercial, and especially light industrial uses right next to residential uses. We have just enough separation so that those can exist in harmony, but in close proximity to each other. So with that sort of groundwork, I will turn it over to our project engineer, Matt Bruton, who will go through the new materials that we've submitted.
Good evening, everybody. For the record, my name is Matthew Bruton. I'm a professional engineer in the state of Connecticut, employed by BL Companies. Our address is at 355 Research Parkway in Meriden, Connecticut. I'm connected here, but I'm not seeing it on the screen. Are you guys... Is there something that I have to do besides plug it in?
Do you have to change your display?
I didn't last time.
We've just plugged it in the past, right?
Yeah. It's my background.
There you go.
Let's see, there we go. All right, kind of works. Okay. So
Can you put it in?
bear with me. It shows on your screen. It doesn't show on mine, so I'm going to have to look up to.
Presentation mode.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So some of this will be a repeat, but then obviously there's some new,
Got it.
yep, some new documents based on the feedback we got from the last meeting. So bear with me if I'm repeating, but again, this is just the cover page. Again, this is a aerial slide of a reminder of where the project location sits compared to Route 2 across the bottom of the page, I-95 to the left, and then obviously to the right-hand side, if you can see my mouse. Yeah. Obviously, the existing residential development under construction with the grocer and the existing restaurants. This is the updated master plan, obviously showing the contiguous nature of the existing NDD and the expansion of this parcel. We are showing interconnectivity between the existing NDD and obviously this expanded portion of this new acreage that we're moving towards 95. You can see from this graphic that there's a pretty significant wetland system between, this part of these parcels. So the connectivity we do have is, pedestrian access and a sidewalk along the frontage of Liberty Street. We were exploring, obviously, vehicular connection because that would make a lot of sense between both parcels, but that would come at great detriment to the environment. And that's, I know, more of the inland wetland agency issue than this board's concern, but I know the connectivity was something that was brought up at the staff level and at this level. So we do show the connectivity that we think makes sense for the contiguous uses, but obviously wanted to point out the restriction that we have with some of the environmental factors that are present on these parcels. Again, this is the proposed master plan. We did obviously submit a zoning table that shows the high 60 versus the NDD, which we are requesting to expand here. As John mentioned, obviously, NDD does give us some flexibility to kind of create that campus feel that this tenant is looking for. Obviously, a large part of that is this is going to be, operated by one tenant. So getting that campus feel to be able to bring these buildings closer together, have one harmonious use with one harmonious access point and entrance points makes a lot of sense, given especially the NDD that's already in place. In addition to this, nothing new on this part, the grading and drainage plan. Obviously, I mentioned last time, I can go into a little more detail. We have done already preliminary test fits with the town engineer on site to get a sense of the soil conditions. There are great soil conditions compared to the other corner that we were previously at. So we are showing a comprehensive stormwater management system, including significant underground detention systems and above ground gravel wetland systems to comply not only with the town regulations and the stormwater guidelines, but also dealing with your groundwater overlay protection zone that is present in this area. So very much respecting that and a lot more room on this parcel to get creative with that. So we've moved that along much further than we've had in prior applications to get ahead of where we think we need to go for this for the actual detailed site approval. In terms of the utility plan, just as a reminder, all the utilities are available in Route 2. Since our last meeting, we have had a conversation with the Water Authority. They have provided a will serve letter to us for this development of this size. I believe that was included in the packet that was resubmitted to the town. They do have to do a detailed hydraulic analysis. That will be part of the site plan approval process. A couple other items in the next couple slides. I'm going to pass over to either John, you go, or over to my colleagues for a couple of the traffic questions that you had from last meeting. We did submit a more detailed traffic study, and just as a reminder, we do have to submit that as part of the site plan approval process when we come back to this board. We are having ongoing conversations with the Connecticut DOT and OSTA as we, move forward into more details, more past the schematic level. But one question that you did have was about queues, particularly at the new driveway entrance, which is also the existing off-ramp to 95. So I think at this point I'll pass it over to my colleague Mike Dion. He can give you a little bit more background, more detailed information than I did last time.
Yeah, for the record, Mike Dion, BL Companies. We are in the process of doing a full-blown traffic study in anticipation of site plan approval, so that'll come with that, and we'll do the full dog and pony show with level of service and things like that. But we wanted to show, because Matt mentioned that there was concerns about queues. So these are very preliminary numbers up there, and looking at the traffic study. We did take a look at AM and PM peaks in the village year out there. In the off-ramp, it shows, you know, in the AM, there's hardly any, there's a lot less traffic than the PM traffic out there. So our AM is showing, I can't see this, but, you know, we've got 120 feet of queue on the off-ramp itself.
Can you make that a little bigger so we can see the chart?
Potentially, give me a second. Sorry, I can't see my mouse. 1 second.
That one might be easier.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, hold on.
So the off-ramp has 120 feet of queue in the left turn lane, and it looks like 80 feet in the right turn lane. Coming northbound on Route 2, we've got 195 feet, and southbound 110 feet. This is in the PM or AM with our build condition. If you go to the next slide, I do have our PM, which is more of the controlling factor out here. Looks like there's about 445 feet of queue on the off-ramp itself, the right turn lane. Looking at our study that we're working on, that is just an increase of about 40 feet, so 2 cars from the existing condition. Coming northbound, you've got about 350 feet, and southbound 155 feet. So we are, as I said, in the process of looking at this. We are adding a leg to the traffic signal. So we're looking at different timings and phasings to do out there. We want to make sure coming southbound, we're looking at adding in a flashing yellow beacon for the left turn lane in. And because we're adding a leg to the traffic signal, this is going to go to the Office of State Traffic Administration. And then the DOT is going to look at it again because it's got to get an encroachment permit because we're working in the state right of way to add that leg. So it's going to have 2 different reviews from the DOT.
I think we were also concerned about the on-ramp to the north of I-95, the left turn onto southbound 95.
So our preliminary numbers with our study, as I said, we're still working on it, but everything out there currently operates at a level of service 3 or better. Just to reiterate, level of service, it's letter grade based upon delay, A through F, just like you're in school. Level of service D or better is acceptable in the state of Connecticut. Everything out there operates at a level of service D or better now, and it will with our development as well. So we're not going to change anything. We're not going to degrade anything down to a level of service E or F.
I think on that ramp to the north of 95, the onbound ramp to I-95 southbound, the storage is not going to be sufficient. It isn't now. There isn't enough room for vehicles making that left turn to sit in to stay in the left turn lane. It backs up into the through movement. So, I mean, hard to believe that in the PM peak that could be a level of service C now, but something that you'll have to take a closer look.
We'll definitely take a look at it in the full design for site plan approval, and we will make sure that we satisfy what you guys are looking for.
I know there's similar problems on some of the intersections located further south in the vicinity of the Tractor Supply area that operate with lengthy queues now. And I would expect not just the ramp, not just the intersections adjacent to this, but all of the intersections on the highway there, Route 2, to be fully analyzed as a part of the
So we actually have in our study, we're doing the 2 ramp intersections and then the 2 ramps to the 2 intersections to the south.
Okay.
So we have expanded our study. Institute of Transportation Engineers typically wants any intersection we're adding 100 new trips to studied. We're at about 150 trips, so we are going further than what ITE and Connecticut DOT will look for, but we understand the concerns.
Okay.
If I can ask a question, just because you brought it up, so with that one on-ramp going to southbound, Right, and when you're analyzing that traffic, are you also looking at the traffic coming from the other direction on Route 2? Because that's almost like sometimes I call it like a ski jump. People come flying in there and they go right up. So yeah, I just want to know if your study would take into account that traffic coming from that direction too as part of the factors.
Yes, yeah, we're fully study all, like, there's 4 intersections we're looking at. We're gonna fully study all 4 of them. We are including the traffic from the others approved development down below already, so we've got a lot of data we can use, and we're gonna make sure that we make sure everything operates well, and you guys are satisfied and DOT is satisfied.
Okay.
Some of the more effective presentations that we've seen have models that actually show the arriving vehicles, little nodes on the road that arrive at the intersections and queue up, and they show the length of the queue, and left
We
turns,
can
right
show that
turns.
in the full planning and the
So
site plan
I-
approval, we can have that in our presentation.
I think that if you add that to your presentation, it would be helpful. For
Absolutely.
those that aren't necessarily in both the audience and behind the table, I'm familiar with the level of service and intersection analysis and capacity analysis, and have been involved in a lot of this kind of work. But not everybody is, and the queuing models are very helpful for those that don't understand the calculations and don't understand all the terminology, to physically see what it's going to look like and what the queues are going to look like, and they're very accurate. So I'd like to see that in the final analysis.
Absolutely. I've been here before. I know I need to do. I like to show things. I don't like to just talk.
Okay. Any other questions for the traffic engineer?
How many parking spots are for the whole thing?
That's me, hold on.
Just under 580 parking spaces between the 3, but be aware that obviously we're planning not to build this all out in one chunk, right? This could be a phased approach as a campus like for this tenant as it moves forward through the process.
How many cars, what traffic was expected increase per day
Per day, I don't have that in front of me. We were talking
seemed like
about
it was
the
so
peak
much
hour,
more.
about 150 trips.
150?
And when we talk about the peak hour, that's, it's 1 hour in the morning. The traffic does come over the course of, more than just 1 hour. And actually, technically, what we look at is 15 minutes, and the highest 15 minutes, we multiply that by 4 to come up with that hour.
I just don't understand, like 500 versus 150. Why that?
Yeah, well, so it's a great question, and I have some more info. So the reason why we have 500 plus parking spaces has nothing to do with traffic, zoning regulations. You guys set the number of parking spaces that are required on a property based on the use and the size of the building. It's nothing to do with employee counts or the type of uses.
What do you
Sure,
think
so-
it is per employee counts, that 150 that?
Yeah, so the numbers that you were asking before, which I said at the last meeting, was Liberty Street approximately has a little under 19,000 vehicles per day traveling on it.
No, for the buildings, how many employees per building are you expecting?
I don't know if I have that information, Phil might have that, but let me get that in a second. So we had in the AM peak, right, the 7 to 9, we had about approximately 136 trips.
Right.
So that's 112 in coming to the site for work and potentially 24 leaving in that period. And in the PM peak, when people are leaving work, we had 33 coming in, right? So most people aren't coming to work, they're leaving, and 100 leaving at that period. So
all 3 buildings are all 9 to 5, basically?
correct. Normal working hours, yeah.
And just for the record, I received from Phil Biondo from the owner's rep, Reedco. They're expecting about 300 employees in the first phase, which will be 1 office building and light industrial.
Okay.
So, but total, right, so when you brought this same building plan in the old location, there was 300 in the building, so if I look at this, there should be 600 potential employees in the 2 new office buildings, and then plus whatever's in the light industrial, so What does that
So-
equal?
So the difference here is that
Even though this is, 3 buildings, it's gonna be owned and operated by one potential tenant. So employees that will be working in these buildings are not gonna be dedicated to one building. They're gonna be moving between the office buildings, light manufacturing buildings. So there's a bit of efficiency for this tenant to be using this as a campus, so that's not 3 individual businesses with different workforces that are occupying all the parking spaces that zoning requires.
And
I guess the question is, you have space for 600 people sitting in the offices, right? And you're saying you're not gonna have the 600, so why wouldn't you make the building smaller? I guess I'm just trying to do the math.
So I'll just clarify the numbers.
Yep.
It's 260 employees per building, per office building, 40 for the light industrial, if we want to break it out.
And then also, just to be aware, your actual zoning regulations actually require 770 parking spaces, but there's a stipulation within your regulations to request a reduction. We're requesting that reduction. But the limits on your reduction are limited, right? So we're trying to knock down based on what we think is needed, and also we don't want to build a parking lot that's not going to be used. So we're trying to blend the demands of the tenant in the market and also what your regulations will allow us to do. So we're trying to pare this down as much as we can with still having a site that can function and operate appropriately.
Under the regulations, based on the size of the buildings, we'd need 129 parking spaces for the light industrial building and 321 for each of the offices, which we think is kind of grossly overparked. And if you recall, when there's a single office building on the corner, we came in and received an approval for a reduction. So, and it's the same concept here.
So one of the other questions that we received and some updated materials that we were submitted as part of this application was updated landscaping plan to ask for more detail. Our landscape architect is here. I have some of those plans on my screen, so if they'll oblige, I'll pass it over to my colleague, Josh.
Will the landscape architect detail the buffering proposals also?
He's right here.
Yep. For the record, my name is Josh Wheeler. I'm a professional landscape architect with BL Companies. What was your specific question?
We asked a question about buffers also, that along the perimeter of the site, and particularly in the front. I think you did a nice job on the adjacent piece with the landscape architecture, and it acted, to soften the presentation from the street.
So that was one of the things we really wanted to push forward with this new design is we looked at the requirements for the HI 60 buffer along Liberty Street, because that was a pretty intense buffer requirement. And so what we've done is we've exceeded the amount of buffering required for that particular zone by introducing the canopy trees, the street trees, understory trees, evergreen shrubs and deciduous shrubs to buffer the view looking into the site. So you won't see the parking lot any longer. You'll have this nice buffer along the roadway. The other thing we've done is we've enhanced the landscaping throughout the entire campus. So all the spaces that aren't dedicated to parking are dedicated to green space and trees. And like I said, we've exceeded all of the requirements, whether they're parking lot trees or interior landscaping requirements. We're exceeding the HI 60 requirements for those buffer requirements and code requirements. I guess the other aspect of this is that more than 50% of the plantings are native. The remainder are what we like to call native adjacent. So they're naturalized plants. They're not necessarily native, or they're cultivars of native varieties. so that they are better suited for the environment that we're trying to put them into. But none of them are invasive at all. So you can see in the front here, this is the view along Liberty Street. So Matt, if you back up one image, this would be without the plantings in the front, and then the next image is showing all of the buffer plantings that we are proposing in that area.
I can go back. We have other views as well, of both with and without landscaping. If you want me to flick through. So this is looking from 95 towards the office building with the light manufacturing in the background. So this is no landscaping. This is with landscaping. This is standing between the two buildings. The office building would be the left off the screen, so be looking at the light manufacturing facilities with no landscaping and landscaping. And then obviously, as Josh pointed out, this is the little bit of an unrealistic view because we're on the adjacent property across the street. This is purely to depict the architecture, but then this is the streetscape as Josh had described.
Helpful, thank you.
And I'll just point out this as well, commissioners, I'll just go back up to this. Be aware that we did do delineations on site of existing wetlands. There are 3 wetlands that are, distinct on the property. One is in the lower right-hand corner, closest to, say, maybe the McDonald's. There's one to the top of the screen where we say property line, and then also to the left-hand side. This property does continue. This dashed white line is the property line, but also kind of goes into North Stonington. There is a significant wetland over there as well. So there's going to be a naturally preserved buffer to adjacent properties based on preserving the wetlands that we know we can't and want to avoid and touch. So those pockets are around there to that will also help naturally not cut down trees or anything that's been there for decades.
Any questions of the landscape architect?
Just one quick one on the first go-around from the town engineer. He was concerned, or you did not add the wetlands for the second parcel, the rightmost one on the plan. I don't know what that is, I guess.
Yeah, so this is actually, that was a preliminary comment, so I think I should show you this. So if you can see on this plan here, let me find my mouse. There is, see this thick line that I'm tracing?
Yeah.
That's one parcel to the left, and the second parcel here is to the right. In the first initial submission, we had depicted these things, but we didn't have a solid delineation. We have since resubmitted a delineation from our wetland scientists for all of these. So all the graphics you see in the plans that you've seen as actually delineated wetlands with a report that was submitted that's reflected in these plans. We took great pains with this layout to make sure that we're not impacting directly these wetlands, given how sensitive they are, and obviously as well with the groundwater protection overlay as well. Wanted to make sure we preserve those areas. So that's what this layout in this application is taking into account.
And I'll just note, again, John Casey for the record, that the town engineer's comments, he was very quick. They were submitted on June 9th, and we had submitted this application, well, the official date of receipt was at your June 16th meeting. So his comments predated the actual official receipt of this, and I think our first round of supplemental materials was, was filed in early July with the idea we thought we'd be here, I think, July 21st for a hearing. So those have been in the record for over 6 weeks now.
Right, but we didn't get revised comments back from the town engineer, did we, on any of those things? I don't know, when you submitted to them.
I would ask the staff.
Yeah.
That. It was provided, and I know the staff is usually.
No, we did not receive revised comments from the town engineer.
Can't hear you.
No, we did not receive revised comments from the town engineer.
He has the documents though, correct?
Correct, and this is also a map amendment, so there's no development that he could be providing realistic comments until we get to the site plan phase.
Well, on something like this, I think the commission usually wants the town engineer's comments before they act, but particularly if there's conditions that should be imposed in any action, you know, they're usually outlined in a detailed memo from the town engineer.
Mr. Chairman, be aware that we did not submit a detailed stormwater management calculation set. That's not part of the submission for an NDD. That's at the detailed site plan approval portion of the application. So, you know, we did provide some preliminary comments, but we'll be providing much more as we get the more detailed.
We did ask for that, though. I mean, this is a large site. It has a big impact. And regardless of what the regulations say, I think the commission can ask for what it thinks it needs for an overlay zone like this, and we did ask for more detail. So, you know, when we do ask for more detail, we like the town engineer's input on it.
Understood.
I think, Mr. Chairman, since we've done this before, and for example, on one of the site plans, when we got to the site plan part of it, and we were working on the stormwater protection, as you know, you asked for more details in the very first time to make sure we were doing best management practices, and we worked through that. So as each iteration, I think we've become a little more sophisticated and got ahead of the curve here. So I think we have on the record last time that Matt and his team met with the town engineer on site. They've already done the test pits, and I think, and we've gone much further in the design phase of the stormwater program than we had in past master plan submissions here. I think I would agree with you that it would have been nice if the town engineer had provided more comments, but perhaps he, as the planner said, as Manuel said, he might just be waiting for the site plan portion.
I acknowledge that these plans have come a long way since the last meeting. We appreciate the additional detail. If there are no further questions,
I have
back to
some
you.
general questions? Or
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm still, so the letter from Westerly Water, all it says is there's water in Liberty Street. I am still very concerned about the quantity of water, and I did ask for that at the last meeting. We know there's water in Liberty Street. I didn't need Max Pizzato to tell me that. Right, I mean, there's a water line running up Route
I think you asked the question about if
Well-
this placed additional burden on the safe yield.
But all the Westerly Water's comment was is there's water in Liberty Street.
Yeah, I know, I saw it.
And we know there is. All I'm saying is like I didn't need Max to tell me that. I am very concerned about, and this development, and I said this, I sort of talked about this a whole bunch in the last one, this development, all of the Route 2 corridor, all of Westerly or Pawcatuck, and the water issue. So I'm not comfortable. And he did talk about you have to get an independent water engineer to do this and look at it and make sure that you have the flows. So I just want to say, make that clear again. And also, can you be really specific, I guess, in the difference, why you need an NDD versus HI-60? Because your original comment was, it was about the buffering. But your landscape architect says you're exceeding the HI-60 buffering. And when I looked at the zoning table, it looked like you had everything for an HI-60.
Yeah, so there's.
So what exactly does the NDD give you that you can't get from HI-60? Because I'm iffy about the reason for NDDs is not this lot, and that this could expand. The guy across the street is going to say, well, the lot across the street's an NDD, so now I can be an NDD, and it's not infilling, it's not using underutilized properties. You're taking a vacant piece of property, a huge vacant piece of property, and slapping a floating zone on it that was never intended to be on that piece of property.
Well, I might disagree with you a little bit on that. So, you know, I submitted a memo to the record. Did you have an opportunity? I hope everyone. So, I'll step back on the buffering, and maybe Josh can clear. I think what Josh said is we're buffering along Liberty Street. We meet that. If we were to have two parcels within the HI-60, then each parcel would have to buffer itself. between themselves. So as Matt pointed out, the property line, we would have to have a buffer along the entire property line between two uses that might even be, that are compatible. So what the NDD provides us, and I have it later in my notes, I can go through it, I can look for it now.
Before you go any further, so, why would you need two parcels? Why can't this just be one parcel? Right, and the only buffering requirement I found was between commercial and residential. And we don't have that. I mean, you need a buffer on the street. So yeah, that was going to be my question too. You can explain what the buffer issues are.
Pardon. I think the regulations do require in, I can't see it. In 8-2, sorry, didn't scroll up. No, the other, sorry, scroll down. Keep going. Right.
This is the chart I was looking at here.
But where was it in the HI 60? Where it says between non, it says chart.
Yeah, that was this.
No, there's another chart. I thought it was just the next page. Of course, we're not going to find it.
So I do see this in 8-2, you need a 25-foot buffer between two non-residential uses. But if
Yeah.
you make it the same lot, then you don't have a buffer requirement.
Correct, but setting, the buffer is one thing, but the primary issue here is providing the flexibility that an NDD provides. As stated in my memo, the NDD is designed not just for village cores. It was specifically stated in the regulation that it can be used in the HI in 60, as well as the, sorry, too many notes from there, good. In the M1 and the TC80 zones, which are not your typical or traditional village cores in the town. And the purpose of the NDD is not just to redevelop.
We need individual tax parcels, and we need 2 4-story buildings.
Understood.
And
yeah. So the purpose isn't just to renew village cores, but to encourage the reclamation of underutilized commercial parcels and permit new construction, renovation, or adaptive reuses. In the Plan of Conservation and Development, they talk about the creation of the HI 60 zone to spur development. It did not spur development. That property has been vacant for a number of years. The use of the NDD, especially as it's now actually happening, has spurred development, has created interest, has, as I said, not just an interest in a single building on the corner, but now a desire for 2 buildings and up near the highway, and an additional light industrial building. While you may be able to do that in the H60, what we've seen already, the developer's already seen, is that the market changes, the market moves, and you need the flexibility that an NDD provides, and that's what it was designed to do, like all your floating zones, to provide that flexibility for if and when things change. The H60, HI60, even when it was a movie theater, and you got the grocery store, But you also had 2 empty pads that weren't able to be developed since the movie theater was developed. So, and this developer, Mike and his team, they know this, they've seen this, they've held this property, they've tried to develop it for years. This is now the time that they see they're getting the traction, and it's because of the NDD. And I would say you should be proud of that. It's a very forward-looking regulation that provides flexibility and control by this commission. As you know, we've been here, I think, 10 or more times to, propose this, change it again, get final approval, every little bit. We're in the aquifer protection zone. We are under intense scrutiny to preserve the aquifer, to make sure it's recharged, it's not harmed. There's nothing about this that just sort of gets swept under the rug. So, saying you have to be, let's not use this tool we have in our toolbox, but keep it in the HI 60, I think is, in my opinion, a way of keeping the handcuffs on the development. Whereas you're not losing any control by putting it in the NDD. Actually, to the opposite. Everything we want to do, we have to come here to get approval. If they decide in phase 2 that they don't need a 4-story building, but I think they do, we know they do, and we want them to have a 4-story building, but say they need a garage, we would have to come here for a master plan approval. Nothing would be as of right. So we'd always come back, we'd always have to get master plan approval, site plan approval, as we have throughout this development. And as I said at the beginning, everything we're proposing here, all these uses you've already said, these are good, these are what we want in our town. We're not proposing any uses that I think anyone would find to be detrimental to the character of the town. To the contrary, these are all positive things. They're good for the tax base, they're good employers, they're needed residential uses. I didn't even say, if we pull the tech center from the corner, now we open up that corner, we get more residential development that's already being filled. The first building is already rented. The second building, people are lined up to rent that building. As they build the buildings, they will be filled up. There is a need. So why do we need the NDD? It's for that flexibility. Because maybe after they build the 3rd or 4th building, and you may think we're just, moving the goalposts. But really what we're doing is we're responding to the market. How many times do things go in static development all across this state, and then it can't be built? You have to go get financing. It doesn't work. It doesn't pencil. Here, the NDD gives you the control, but also the developer the ability to actually build something. It's being built, right? We were here 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, with this concept. And now we have people living in apartments. And now we have a serious tenant who would be in these buildings tomorrow if they could. But we need to go through this process. We need to respect the process. And your regulations are very clear. This is the master planned part. If you think this is appropriate for the town and meets the standards, and I can go through all of them, we want you to approve the master plan. Then we'll come back, and we've already previewed the site plan more than 50%, I'd say. I mean, it's not going to be much different. I mean, if we have our way, it's going to be filed at the end of the month if we get an approval. We are ready to go. We have a very anxious tenant. And we think it's the best thing for this town to allow this development to go forward. 2 4-story buildings, very good tax base, big industrial building, good for the tax base, good for the town, good use of an undeveloped, underutilized piece of property for years. Okay.
Mike Leach, Rico, appreciate your time. So this development has grown and morphed from when we built it in the corner. We are working with a very specific tenant. That need of that tenant has grown substantially. This development is purpose-built. So we are building it intentionally, okay? It is going to be built in phases with the first 80,000 square foot building and half of the R&D facility built simultaneously. And then the second building, 80,000 square feet, and the second half of the R&D space will be built at a later time. In order to accommodate that flexibility, to your very good point, okay, is that we need to utilize the NDD in order to have flexible boundary lines between the properties, because we need to be able to finance it, each building individually. And if we have it done traditionally through the highway interchange, we'll lose the ability to have a campus. And that's paramount to the user. Does that make sense? Okay, it's a non-negotiable, right? So, you know, it's like, it's a non-negotiable, right?
You said probably 20 times in your.
Dave has the floor, okay?
Yeah, I guess, well, at least I like the project. I'd like it to continue just like it's shown on paper or on the screen. But I don't see any reason why you can't do that in the HI 60 zone. And that's the question that's not being answered. I understand what you did. You redeveloped that piece of land next door, but you can see they're only connected by water here. So, I'm not sure what you get out of it. I think there's something that you're not getting, but you're not telling us.
And maybe I'm not understanding this as well, you know, like, because the concept of the NDD, when we brought that over to the Balloon property, we call it, the 5 acres, to do the first office building, was the same circumstance, the same thing, you know, and then there was no real connectivity because the building backed up to the end of the residential, right? So now we're moving something up the road that creates an environment where we don't know what we're going to develop on the parcel to the north, right? So, you know, we're creating a campus, we're creating sidewalks, we're creating the largest mixed-use development in southeastern Connecticut, is what we're doing. And we're utilizing the NDD to do that. And if there's a reason that like, other than you just don't think it's a good idea, I'm open to, you know, if we can create this exact same thing, and I can create individual lots for each building, then we're all ears. But it's pretty substantial development.
I agree that it's substantial development, but yeah, again, I'm not sure. And the thing about the NDD is you don't have to follow the same rules as anybody else. Now we're going to have a big development that's coming in across the street, and they're going to want the same thing as you. So how do we decide that?
They've got to go through the same process that we did. They've got to come through the same way that we did. They don't just automatically get an NDD.
Yeah, because the NDD it's not made for a greenfield site, which this is and which across the street is.
It's a greenfield site because we tore the house down.
I didn't know there was a house there, but.
Yeah, there was a house there. All right.
Okay.
And I would say from a zoning perspective, you know, the only difference, you know, forcing us to do it HI 60, the only difference is the building height. But,
So wait, last thing. We need two 80,000 square foot buildings. And we approved an 80,000 square foot building in the former site. And now we need two of those on this site.
Same building.
The same building, exact same building, nothing's changed. We approved it down the road, okay? Those two buildings need to be approved here, and the highway interchange doesn't allow that.
It meets the program for the tenant.
height.
That's where we disagree, but
4 feet,
height.
4 feet,
6.
6 feet. Right. So that,
David, are you through?
I'm through, yeah.
Commissioner Morrison?
Yeah.
Well, I think you answered my question because I was gonna say, you've said probably 20 times in that presentation, you needed the flexibility. And my question was gonna be, you keep talking about, clearly there's something you want that's not allowed in an HI 60 zone, and I needed to know what that was. And you just said it's the height.
It's the height, but
Well, right, you
it's,
should have said that in the beginning.
it's a very minor adjustment in height. I don't think anyone would notice it, you know, as you drive by.
6 feet, right, but that's what you need. That's what you're looking for, is you're looking for a waiver on the height.
We're not asking for.
Well, not, generally, like from the HI 60, you're not asking for a waiver, but that's, when you're talking about flexibility, that's what you needed.
But it's also, we looked at this, you know, when Rico had this opportunity to purchase this parcel, you know, we have a pretty smart team here, Mike, his team, and we looked at it and said, you know, we've already done an NDD. We started the NDD. And I know I've said here in past meetings, I have a feeling we're coming back. We want to move up Route 2. That was the plan. And I know, you know, you don't, I don't hold you to, just because I said it, but we did what, you know, Mike and his team envisioned, which was expanding their NDD up Route 2. And it's, as I said, it's just it's more of the same. It's more demand for the same thing. As Mike said, they need the 2 buildings, very specific client, tenant, and this is, you know, this is the project they want. And if it was a bad project, I don't think we'd be here. But you've already agreed to the concept, to the use, to the design of the building, the look of the building, the basic landscape, the parking reduction, everything. And all we're asking to do is move it up the street.
Anyone else have any questions for the applicant's lawyer or their team? You're going to continue with the additional material?
This may be a good point to let the public comment, and then we can wrap it up after that, if you agree.
Unless the commission has any other questions. Staff?
Just, are you going to address the comments like that Carleen made at the last meeting, or?
I was going to wait and address all the comments in case there's more, so I'm not doing it twice.
That probably makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll get the list. Before we start, did the staff have any comments at all?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you enter those on the record?
So my comments are kind of general in nature, just to give people an idea too, is we did update the staff report. One of there was kind of brought up at the last meeting as well. There was a table in there that was specific to special use permits, not to this application. I think there was some confusion regarding the non-applicable for one waiver or another, that type of thing. So that's been specifically cleared up. The one item that we did kind of note that has changed, again, for the staff questions for the commission, in there is primarily kind of that consideration of those manufacturing uses, just that the applicant should consider that use isn't, you know, specific, detailed at this level, but because it is in that groundwater protection district or zone, that there are some limitations to that, and that's something that would be explored, especially when you get down to the site plan level, specifically to that use. But generally, at the master plan level, the applicant should have, you know, a general idea of what uses are being in there. That was just for the commission and also for the applicant to be aware of that, just moving forward, which I'm sure they are, as they noted in their presentation. So those are the primary things, and then we did update the one comment about connectivity. When we re-reviewed that, the applicant did note in their narrative that they were planning on expanding the walking trail between the 2 of them. So from a staff perspective, it would be kind of in knowing that mixed use type of development, how are they really relating? Is that something that's a walking trail, a multimodal use trail? If this is a mixed use type of development, how do they relate to each other? If they're considering, you know, the ability, as they note, I believe in the narrative of basically residents to be able to actually go from their apartments over to this building as well. So how are they getting there? What's that connection? That was our kind of questions about how the 2 NDD sections, how this new section would be connected to the previous.
And did they address that?
Those are just presented, so we updated that, so I don't think they've had a chance. That was just in the staff report that was issued on Friday.
Any other comments?
No, other than, unless you have anything, other than, again, we did submit the traffic report to the town engineer. He may or may not comment. I did a preliminary review myself. I put some comments in the staff report on that, and there are a couple different conclusions as well that I think it would be beneficial for the applicant to kind of go through those, because it was asked by the commission in a little more detail. There's a specific set of conclusions that were recommendations.
Did you submit it to the traffic authority also?
I'd have to check with Adriana. It might have been. It did come in on Thursday, late afternoon.
Okay, it would be good to get it to the traffic authority too, because the town engineer, while I think he has more expertise to understand, you know, the technicalities of it and the capacity analysis, the authority in town is the police department group that gets together and actually reviews these, and they have the statutory authority to act on them. If there's nothing else, we'll move to public comment. And I have two lists here, one from 8-4 and one for 8-18. But I'm going to go back to the 8-4 list because, Carlene, I don't think you were quite done. And I would ask you, if you please, nobody needs to repeat anything that they said the last time. It's on the record. But if you have additional comments to add, we're interested in the additional comments. So, Carlene Donnarumma.
Oh, is this microphone working?
Podium is working.
Yes.
Yeah, it works.
Good evening, Carlene.
So I can come here. Good evening. For the record, my name is Carlene Donnarumma of Pawcatuck. I just want to make a couple comments on the presentation by the applicant and Mr. Casey so far. I am kind of glad that they're planning office buildings rather than residential buildings. However, I do not agree with him that they are expanding an NDD. I think because they are two separate pieces of property, that they qualify for new NDDs. So I do not buy that he's expanding. But I do want to thank you for allowing me to continue where I left off at the August 4th meeting when we had to vacate the building. I had just handed out the groundwater protection maps from the town of Stonington and the town of North Stonington. And I understand these maps are included in your packets as exhibit number 3 for this application. Our groundwater protection map, one of 8 maps that used to accompany the zoning regulations, does not appear on the town's website as it has in the past. I had to ask for it. I was told that the maps are being updated. So hold on to that map and refer to it often when applications come before you to determine if the proposal is in an aquifer protection zone, such as the REDCO application before you tonight. I included the groundwater protection map for North Stonington to give you an idea of how massive these areas are in this section of town. Protecting and being sensitive to this natural resource of water becomes extremely important, especially in relation to recharge areas, which I understand is near and dear to the heart of our new Director of Planning. I believe that the REDCO application needs more work on planning for recharging its water before it goes into the river, thus, in my opinion, rendering this application incomplete. Therefore, this becomes my 18th reason for denying this application at this time. Residents are not the only ones taking note of what is happening on Route 2. The town of Westerly is also taking note of all the development being proposed on our side of the river. A Westerly town councilor spoke on June 18th at the VFW in Pawcatuck at the Breslin presentation to state her concerns about their massive proposal for the west side of Route 2. The town of Westerly's town manager, has been on the local radio stating comments on the Westerly water system, which is used by Pawcatuck residents. So much so that now Westerly residents as well as Pawcatuck residents are mandated to be on an odd, even day water usage plan. The Westerly town manager also has floated the idea of permanently, excuse me, I gotta turn the page, permanently implementing this odd, even use of water into the spring of next year. And just recently, Mr. Edward P. Marone, a former Westerly state representative who also served as a state senator as well as the president of the Westerly Town Council, wrote a letter to the Westerly Sun newspaper. He states, quote, "There are several serious water-related issues the town of Westerly and the town of Stonington must address together. Among his 4 proposals is one for the formation of a, quote, 2-town water resource board, which I personally would support and think our town should embrace. I am including the full letter with my paper for you to read. I have also sent a copy to the Board of Selectmen, the chair, our first selectman, sorry. I am hoping you also feel it is important and will send a letter of support to the town of Westerly as well as to the first selectman. I will conclude by reminding you that zoning regulation 10.3.4 states, quote, "The commission may only allow a maximum of 5 neighborhood development districts," end quote. Especially in light of what Commissioner Resendes pointed out, the 2 technology buildings and the light manufacturing building could be built under RECODE's current HI 160 zoning designation. Thank you. And that concludes my comment on this proposal, and I will give you a copy of my notes as well as the letter from Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Carly.
You're welcome.
Dan or Don Sadowski?
Yeah, I'll have to sit.
That's fine, just take the microphone. Is it Dan or Don?
I'm a knee operation.
You can sit
I'm
right
sorry to
over
hear
here. You can grab the microphone out of the...
Yeah, maybe one of these guys, these
That would be nice.
gentlemen would give the seat up for you.
Don Sadowski, Pawcatuck. Okay, thank you. Hopefully you will put the standards for the HI 60 in the record. Okay? There is no reason why they can't meet this. Okay? They can meet the buffers with their screening, they can meet this. And as far as their screening goes, I feel it's weak. It's always been weak, even over at Stop and Shop. What are you going to do in the winter months when the leaves come off the trees? There's no year-round screening here. Okay? Traffic. Traffic on this road is horrendous, very dangerous. One thing you don't see in any traffic report are what I call near misses. Route 2, they happen daily. You could all go up there and practice taking left-hand turns out of businesses that aren't at a light and see what happens. While you're waiting for the light at Elmridge Road to turn into, and all the vehicles are trying to beat the lights, these cars are whizzing by at 50, 60 miles an hour plus. Your vehicle shakes to try to turn into that road. It's getting very dangerous. We gotta stop putting the cart in front of the horse. This road needs to be fixed. It needs a divider for safety purposes. Landscape divider would be nice if we could afford it. The off-ramp of exit 92, the way this development is set up, will back right up onto the highway, no matter what their traffic guy says. It happens now, okay? Not a lot, but it will increase with development, especially with Breslin coming. There's a lot of traffic here, okay? Chuck, like you mentioned, the on-ramp to 95 South, you take your life in your hands. The people coming from North Stonington, you don't know if they're gonna go on the highway or they're gonna go straight. We're gonna have some serious accidents there. And when these guys got tractor trailer trucks from a dead stop trying to get out of this place, okay, they don't do it in 5 or 10 seconds. You'll be getting 1 or 2 trucks through the light at a time. Traffic is gonna back up. So, Carlene covered the water, the winter views. This could be made one parcel. They don't want to do it because with the NDD, if I'm not wrong, you can reduce the buffer. I think you can reduce the wetland requirements so they don't have to go to them. Okay? This is joined by water. How are these people going to get over there? By canoe? Or are they going to build a ferry system? The other thing I'd like to show you on this, there's a neighborhood here. The Elmridge Road neighborhood's one of the largest in town. This road is already getting heavy traffic on it right now, okay? And it's gonna get worse. These people that are over on this side of town, if they wanna go to the other part of Stonington, this is the cut through, all right? We're having a hard time getting out onto Elmridge Road now. At the light to get out on Route 2, on our best day, we may get 3 cars, okay? That's the way the light is set up. The left-hand turn in there is right up tight to the line. People coming off of 49 are constantly cutting that lane. That lane needs to be something like they have at the Home Depot in Westerly, where it's back about 10, 15 feet and have a special lane there. But your left-hand turns up there, it is ridiculous. They say they don't impact any residential neighborhoods. They're wrong, they do, okay? It's a lot for this area, okay? We talk about 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. This is like 50 in a 5-pound, all right? These guys don't live here. We do. I live up in this area. The traffic, the noise we're getting right now is ridiculous. What about the quality of life for the people of Stonington? Don't they deserve a fair share there, a fair shake, whatever you want to call it? And, you know, the other thing with this is, when you look at the way they're doing these apartment complexes, I hate to say it, but there's nothing special there. If you go to other parts of the state, it's basically a cookie-cutter design. It kind of reminds you of the projects in Bridgeport. And when Breslin comes in and proposes the same stuff, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about our water? That's a big concern. And is it really worth it? And not for anything, I'm glad that these buildings are up more up by the highway because they're not that great looking. There's no New England look to these buildings. There's not much thought put into them. They're basically what we consider in the industry throwaway buildings. You could knock them down, you can do all different things to them. You can change the facade, you can change the interiors. There isn't much to these things. So, appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lou Allen? Is Lou Allen here? Am I murdering the name?
No?
Okay, so we'll move on to Pam McDonald.
I was going to talk on something entirely different, so.
So you don't want to speak?
Not for this.
Okay. Stephen Bissett. Wonder if we got the right list here.
Yeah, he's our dude. He's coming.
Al?
Oh, here he is. No, he's coming.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
If you just state your name,
Good evening. My name is Stephen Bissett. I'm from 16 Mystic Hill Road here in Mystic. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your time, members of the commission. I am here tonight as a member of the Economic Development Commission. Got two other members here of the commission. I'm speaking by myself, but as a member of the commission. Over the past several months, we have entertained Rico at a few of our meetings, and he and his team have presented to us this application, so we're aware of what the impact of this is. And speaking as a member, I fully endorse this project. I realize there's zoning issues that need to be addressed, and as such, they shall be. I have full faith and confidence that the team here is presenting a viable project for the town, and that what it brings to us is something that is well within the mission of the Economic Development Commission. And part of our mission statement is to advance the town's economic prosperity, foster equitable and sustainable growth, and champion a thriving community. And in my opinion, this site meets those objectives. I realize there's pro and con, and they're well deserved. But I do think if we take the long-term view at this application does meet this for not just today, but for our children in the future. So with that, I ask that you do accept my recommendation that you do approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Al, I can't remember your last name, you're at 23 Russell Avenue. Obviously, I messed up the first name.
That's okay. It's Ali Girallo at 23 Russell in Pawcatuck. I find this project to be really tricky. At the very beginning, in the first hearing, actually, we stood up and we were really supportive of it. The housing, we need housing here. But I feel like we've gotten to the point where this is if you give a mouse a cookie book. The book is, if you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want milk. And if you give him a milk, he's going to want a glass. And I feel like this is what we keep doing with these projects, with this project in particular. I'm a little confused about, they're just saying they're expanding, and maybe I missed something, but I feel like back in January, they went on record to say that there was no manufacturing. On their news feed of their website, it says there will be no manufacturing. Now we are talking about light manufacturing. Well, what light manufacturing are we talking about? What kind of water usage are we needing for this light manufacturing? I appreciate the comments about, water being on Liberty. We are wondering if we're going to have water some days. July 4th weekend, and I'm going to talk about it with the POCD, but we woke up and we wondered. And so, are we adding more pressure to our water system? And so, no, it's not that great then if the answer is yes for our community and for our future. There's a lot of issues with this, and I'm asking the commission to proceed with a lot of caution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Al. Brian Rodriguez. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Rodriguez from 20 Moss in Pawcatuck. I'm a new resident to the area in the last 3 years. I only have one question, and is that, to add on what the young lady just said, if Pawcatuck water is such a problem now, how can we guarantee that it will be fine in the future with this project?
I think that's a question that everybody has, and what's normally done in a project like this before they're allowed to connect is the water company itself has a consultant that uses a model, hydraulic model, to determine if the water can be delivered at the right pressure and the right volume to fight fires. That's the first question. Second question is the question that one of my fellow commissioners raised, and that is how much water is actually going to be used. And in like a residential house, water is used at the rate of like 375 gallons per house per day, per person per day. That's the rate. It's a lot. And for uses like this, there's a way of calculating it. And that analysis is done in advance of allowing someone to connect to a public water system. I used to run a large public water supplier, the largest in Connecticut. And so there are safeguards before someone is allowed to connect, that they're not going to force the water company to deliver more water than they actually have to deliver. It's a little more cautious in areas where the source is groundwater supply, and that's what we have here. So there's additional work that the developer has to do before they can connect. There's a model that has to be built for fire protection. So not only this building is fire protected, but all the other buildings in the same zone are fire protected. So there are some safeguards that are built into it that aren't the purview of this commission. But what is the purview of this commission is that they can get water. We can't approve it until we know that they can be served. So that's the question that we've raised. And it really is a question for the water company to answer.
Thank you for.
You bet. Thank you, sir. I think that concludes the list. We called everybody on the list once. If anyone else would like to speak, either in favor, against, or make a general comment, yes, ma'am. Just give us your name, if you would, please, and your address.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bill Marie Benson from 20 Moss. I have a couple of additional comments about the water. When you draw way too much water from an aquifer, you run the risk of ruining it forever by having salt water fill it in. So I'm just trying to convey that this is an existential threat to our community. If we ruin the aquifer, we're done in terms of drinking water. I also would like to know if this project is going to connect to the current grid or if they're going to use renewable energy. Because if they're going to connect to our grid, that also brings the question, is Eversource or whoever's going to supply the power, are they capable of producing that much power? Or are they going to have to invest in more infrastructure that in turn is going to make our rates go up? And they're already high, and inflation is eating at us. So we need to think about these things. Actually, some of our neighbors got together and we have a letter that I'm going to read to you, if you allow me to. We are particularly worried about this project being a backdoor to a data center, and they have stated that it's not going to be a data center, but there is a lot of examples in many other places in the nation where a technology park becomes a data center. It's adaptive reuse, it's the term, I guess, where they already have the infrastructure, they're already approved. It's very simple to put a data center in it unless there is legislation. And I believe that the town of Stonington doesn't have any legislation in place to make sure that that doesn't happen. So this is from several of us at Moss Street. Dear members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, I'm writing to express my strong opposition to the proposed construction of a data center in Stonington, Connecticut. Bear with me, I know they're saying it's not, but there is a very possible chance that it will become one. Our region is already facing significant infrastructure and resource challenges. Residents across southeastern Connecticut and neighboring westerly Rhode Island have experienced growing concerns about water availability, drought conditions, and increased utility costs. In July 2026, Westerly implemented emergency water restrictions citing drought conditions, extreme heat, and strain on the local water system. These restrictions included a ban on outdoor water use, and later, an odd-even watering schedule to conserve limited water supplies. At the same time, households and businesses across New England, continue to struggle with rising electricity costs. Adding a facility designed to consume massive amounts of electricity and water raises serious questions about whether our local infrastructure can responsibly support such a project without negatively impacting residents who are already suffering due to rising costs. Data centers are among the most resource-intensive industrial facilities being developed today. Industry and research reports note that data centers require substantial amounts of electricity to power servers and cooling systems. Some estimates indicate that a typical AI-focused data center can use as much electricity as tens of thousands of homes. Large facilities also require significant water resources for cooling operations, with some facilities consuming millions of gallons per day, depending on design and technology. Given our region's recent experience with drought conditions and water use restrictions, approving a project with such intensive water demands appears inconsistent with responsible stewardship of local resources. Residents should not be asked to conserve water while a large commercial facility is permitted to consume enormous quantities of it. Beyond water and electricity concerns, I urge decision makers to carefully consider the following impacts. The electrical grid strain. Data centers place extraordinary demand on power infrastructure. Their electricity requirements can necessitate costly upgrades to transmission lines and substations and distribution systems. Communities across the country have increasingly raised concerns that these costs may ultimately be borne by ratepayers through their higher utility bills. Another concern is the limited long-term local employment. While they may create temporary construction jobs, they generally employ relatively few workers once operational. Communities are often asked to accept significant environmental and infrastructure impacts in exchange for a comparatively small number of permanent positions. We need to consider noise pollution, which I didn't hear about in the presentation, as some of these mechanical systems can operate continuously, creating persistent noise that affects nearby neighborhoods and alters community character. Another consideration is the environmental and community character impacts. As these facilities consume large land areas, require extensive security infrastructure, and can alter the rural or historic character that makes communities like Stonington unique. Once developed, these impacts can be permanent. Emergency power generation and air quality. Most large data centers rely on diesel backup generators for reliability. Residents across the country have raised concerns about emissions, air quality impacts, and public health risks associated with these systems. Future growth and cumulative impacts. Approving one major data center frequently creates pressure for additional energy-intensive development. The cumulative effects on water supplies, roads, utilities, and environmental resources must be considered before any approval is granted. Stonington's greatest strengths are its coastal environment, historic character, natural resources, and quality of life. These assets attract residents, businesses, visitors, and investments. A project that places significant demands on water and electrical infrastructure while offering limited long-term community benefits risks undermining these strengths. Before any approval is considered, I urge the Commission to require a comprehensive and independent assessment of the water consumption, water source impacts, the electrical demand, and grid infrastructure, the costs impacts on local ratepayers, noise and air quality impacts, environmental and ecological impacts, emergency management and resiliency considerations, long-term economic costs and benefits to the community. Until these questions are fully answered, I respectfully request that the proposed data center be denied. Thank you for your time, consideration, and commitment to protecting the residents and resources of Stonington.
Did you say you had something signed there by residents? No.
We are in the process of gathering all the signatures to send this over.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else that wishes to speak? Yes, sir. We are sort of time limited here, so I would simply ask that, I'm not going to run a stop clock on you, but if you could make it as brief as possible. Thank you.
Again, I appreciate everybody's time and patience with us, and there's no set of circumstances that I'll ever develop a data center there. But thank you for the insight. This project is extremely intentional, right? Everything that we've laid out, everything we've presented, every iteration that we've had has been a function of the market and a third party moving us to the next level. We're here, we are from Stonington. I've been developing and in this community my entire life. I feel proud of what we're putting forward. I think that the master plan that the NDD allows us to do here is going to create a level of development that is unprecedented. It'll be unprecedented anywhere else in southeastern Connecticut. We are respectful and mindful of groundwater protection. I've been doing it since I built a movie theater in the early 90s. I feel like understanding we just went through the whole westerly water with the apartments that we're developing, and we understand that that's a process, and we'll adhere to that process. And I can only ask that you can see that this development is bigger than me, bigger than us, bigger than my team. In fact, this is southeastern Connecticut, right? This is who we are next. And I just encourage you all to grasp that and to help us bring it to Pawcatuck. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that wishes to speak? Hearing none, does the applicant wish rebuttal time?
I will be as brief as I can.
Yeah.
So I'll just go through my notes so I make sure I hit things. Just want to reiterate, we're asking for a waiver to the municipal fiscal impact statement. We've provided those statements for both phases of the residential development, and the last analysis was that this project, this is before this, would have a net benefit of almost $500,000 on the town. So we think that we're not adding any new residents, we're not adding any new school kids, and that for that reason the waiver should be granted as it had been granted when we first did the original technology center. Again, this is a master plan application. As I said before, I think we've given you a great deal of information past what a typical master plan would have. I think we've shown that in terms of public safety and traffic, we're far down the road with the traffic study. I will ask Mike to just comment briefly on some of the statements in a moment. But in terms of public safety, traffic, public works, all these elements, I think we have demonstrated that we meet the standards, and we provided you the information necessary to act on this application. In your regulations, as you have in the past, There are 3 considerations of approval for approving an NDD, and I'll say this out loud so everyone in the room hears it, but I know this commission knows it. You can expand an NDD. You have already done it. We've expanded this one once to include the grocery store and the Bologna parcels, and this is an application for that same type of action, same request. We're not asking for a new NDD. And the factors that you consider are first, conformity with the Plan of Conservation and Development. In your staff report and in our materials, we document the policies in the existing POCD that are met by this, including, quote, additional commercial development continues to be appropriate for the exit 92 highway interchange area. As I said before, the HI-60 was developed to spur that development, and it hasn't done it, but that's still a policy. And actually what you have before you now is a project that checks a box on the POCD, like directly, while expanding the NDD. The other policies in the POCD that are met by this and we are in conformity with is to seek to attract a mix of residential, retail, and services, to attract a mix of businesses, to encourage investment in commercial properties, to encourage mixed-use buildings on major streets in village areas. This is definitely a major street. To encourage appropriate economic development, to strive to diversify and increase the tax base annually, to actively market the town for business. As I said before, guide development to exit 92 in the village of Pawcatuck. This will do exactly that. It'll create an excellent economic driver in the town. So we think it meets the first goal, conformity with the Plan of Conservation and Development. The second is compatibility with surrounding residential neighborhoods. We know there are residential neighborhoods in the vicinity, but there are no residentially zoned properties that touch any of the NDD parcels, whether in the original one, the first expansion, or this one. This one is even further away. Where it's now approved, the technology center is much closer to the residential properties that the one gentleman mentioned across Route 2. So we're moving this commercial use and light industrial use further from the residential neighborhoods. So we feel that's a benefit to those residential neighborhoods. We talked about the buffering and the landscaping. We talked about the site access as well. So we think it's compatible with the surrounding residential neighborhoods. And the last one is compliance with the Coastal Area Management Act, but that's not applicable. You have my memo about why we feel this expansion is appropriate. I've already touched on that. So just quickly in the response to public comments, I was looking at Carlene's memo. She put a lot of thought into it. I feel it deserves a complete response. She thought it was an incomplete application, touching on the same issue that the commission brought up, that the town engineer hasn't responded. We have no control over the town engineer's response, but we have provided the updated mapping that was provided back in July, and his comments are from June. The fact that some agencies haven't weighed in, again, as the applicant, we have no control over those. She had a question about the traffic. We've had comments tonight about traffic, so I think maybe this is an appropriate time just to ask Mike. He sat through all this. If he just has a brief rebuttal on the issues of traffic.
For the record, Mike Dion, BL Companies. I did hear comments about speeds being a concern. They're a concern on all streets. I think especially in this area where you're coming off the highway, used to driving fast, you're going to typically see people driving a little faster on this piece of Route 2. Our study's going to take a look at that, see what we can do to manage some of that. There was also a comment about turning Route 2 into a boulevard, a little outside, I think, the scope of this project and development. I think that is, if that's a concern or a way that the town would like to go, I would say that the town engineer and the local traffic authority approach Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments and look at getting them to, fund a study for it. I'd gladly work on it if they come out with one, and, see what we can do for you. But boulevards do have pros and cons. They do slow traffic down, but they do a lot of U-turns at all the traffic lights trying to get to all the businesses. Truck concerns, I think, Matt, you do have something about trucks, that this is not expected to be a huge truck traffic generator.
Yep, the expected tenants, truck demand, I think that was something that we didn't have previously from commission, that you had questions at the last meeting. They're anticipating 3 to 4 box trucks per day. So smaller, think of a delivery van that maybe comes to your house. And then 2 to 3 single tractor trailers per week. As I mentioned before, we do have that dedicated driveway that would circulate around the site to the loading docks. There's only 2 loading docks on the light manufacturing building, and they would be coming in and out of that controlled driveway at the light. So they have a stoplight, obviously, a red light other directions to allow them to leave the site safely and go back towards the highway. You can't get much closer to the highway here, as there is exactly where you want a truck to go, away from your residential developments and onto the highway and out to other regions. So 3 to 4 box trucks per day, 2 to 3 tractor trailers per week. Very minimal for the size of this development we're talking about here.
Thank you. To continue on, Carlene had a comment about the NDD approval process and not granting another one. I think we've touched on that plenty. I touched on her comment about the municipal impact statement, to the town planner's comment about interconnectivity, and you mentioned it here about the walking trail. Yes, the parcels are connected. They do abut each other, but there is a wetland between them. It's not completely wet. And we do show the walking trail. We put it as far into the wetland as we could on the southern half, and that was approved. As part of this, it's still our intention to look at connecting that to the northern half. But we have to determine if it's going to require some sort of raised walkway or something. We want to try to avoid proposing fill in the wetlands for a 100-yard walking path. I think those are the kind of trade-offs you have to look at. And if people can go around and stay on the upland to walk there, that might be a better thing than impacting the wetlands. A lot of people here have already commented on impacts to the environment. We are in the groundwater protection zone, so we feel anything, we should take a very light touch to impacting the wetlands. And we don't know that interconnectivity should trump groundwater protection or wetlands protection. So it's still something we're considering, but we don't have an answer for you just now. But we don't feel that, the lack of a walking trail means that that this isn't still a NDD eligible property. I touched on the POCD. She had some concerns about the last draft of the staff report. Your planner corrected those. We've added the comparison of the HI 60 and the proposed bulk in our application materials. As we said, it's really the one variance, or is the height. The comments from the ADRB, we went there on July 13th. They weren't in the last report, but they are in this report. As I said, we've done test pits, significant geotechnical work has already started on the property. You're actually accepting an application later in your meeting for work at the property. On the question of water, which may seem to be the elephant in the room, I don't, as the chairman pointed out, I wasn't at the meeting that was there, but we met with Westerly Water. Maybe he can speak more to that. I understand there was an issue this year. My understanding is that it was a infrastructure issue, as much an infrastructure issue as anything. I don't think we're in a drought. I understand the need to protect aquifers, and actually maybe I'll just ask Matt now just to remind everyone the level of protection of the aquifers that have already gone into the design at other sections of the NDD and how we take that seriously.
Yeah, so just 2 points to build off what John said. You know, obviously the conversation with Westerly Water after your comments from the last meeting generated that letter that we were provided for the record. Obviously, they're going to do their further analysis that will, confirm that all that information even further along. We did ask about the event that happened around the 4th of July. They said that was mainly exacerbated by a water main break at that time. So just for the record on that. In terms of the groundwater protection, obviously we did this as part of the other application down the street. In this case here, we have a much larger parcel. We have a lot more flexibility with the stormwater devices that we can use here. We are proposing a system that will be to the satisfaction of your town engineer, and that includes an underground storage system and also a gravel wetland system as well, above ground basins that will be providing the highest level of water quality to then recharge the groundwater that's going to be falling through this site into the adjacent wetlands. I'm very confident that we'll gain the approval of your town engineer as we go through the process here, but we've done this before. We're happy to do it again, and as John said, we've taken significant steps to move this along faster with the town engineer to get his input earlier. We've done test bits. We've classified the soil. We're taking that into account with everything we're doing.
And so I'll just wrap it up by saying in any big project, we know people have concerns about what might happen in the future. But as members of this commission know, you cannot make your decision based on speculation. If there's actual issues with utilities, those come up. In this town, you had a moratorium by the WPCA that didn't allow any new development to connect to the sewer system in Mystic. That's a real thing that property owners and developers had to concern themselves with. But we should not concern ourselves with, or we should concern ourselves with, but we shouldn't use speculation or fear of what might happen in the future to deny a project that actually I've heard many members of this commission say, that they like. You may like it as an HI 60, but it's still a good project. It's a great project. I can't do better than what Mike Leach has said about the significance of this project to the town and to the region. And as I think we've demonstrated, as we've developed the NDD, it's been done responsibly with the concern of the town and its residents in mind. And if you think it's a good project, we would ask you to approve the master plan. Let us use this tool. I think it's already demonstrated itself as being very, very helpful. I don't think that word is strong enough, but I'll use it, to get this project, the entire project, moving. Maybe without it, we'd still have an empty movie theater, 2 empty retail pads, and an old house on the corner of Allentown and Route 2. But because of the NDD and because of what it provides and that impetus to move forward and to show prospective tenants who want to be in this town, what we can do and what the town can do, that's why we're here. And so I guess we would ask that you allow us to continue down that path. Approve the the master plan, and then we will show you in the site plan to come how we meet all the other requirements, as we have in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Do you have any new information for us,
Point
sir?
of information, he brought up some new information.
I will allow you to speak, yes. You want to sit down up here?
I'll be brief. He brought up about the water main break. Well, we've had water restrictions in the past for multiple years due to drought. So I hope the commission would not forget that. They forgot it, I didn't. Thank you.
I think we've expressed our concerns about the water, so I don't think we're forgetting about anything. Thank you for your input. Anyone else who hasn't spoken and wishes to speak? Counselor, your presentation is concluded. What's the commission's pleasure?
It is comments, yes.
Oh, Paul, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, and not to kind of jump into the end, but the one thing I did just want to be clear about, when we were talking about the walking trail and about the connectivity between the two, it did note that in the application, but I was not implying an environmental walking trail. I believe that the plan did show a sidewalk, or at least the ghost line of a sidewalk in front. That's the area that could be improved on for better connection between the residences and the businesses and, you know, the offices and the R&D for that kind of symbiotic. And that was kind of the staff's question about how are they symbiotic, and that would be an opportunity that we were just expressing that you could increase that. And I think that could be potentially accommodated in the upland, not in the wetland, provide additional, even more routes around. Again, you have residents there in an area where there isn't necessarily a large area of open space.
Thank you, Paul. Anyone else? What's the commission's pleasure on this application?
I think first we need to close the hearing.
Please, yes.
I would like to close the hearing.
Motion
to close the hearing.
Well, I mean, do we want to close this public hearing, or do we want to continue it?
Close it.
I think we can.
Well, that's a group decision.
I know, just about my.
That's
I
it.
think
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
I think we only have like 6 days to make a decision.
Yeah.
It would have to be extended if we.
Yep. And that's the one, if I could, excuse
Sure.
me, Mr. Chairman, but that's the one I just wanted to make it clear that yes, it would be the 25th. There is 65 additional days that the applicant can give the commission and consent to.
Right.
But that would be something that the applicant would have to consent to, be willing to do. And I think the main question to be, is there, to consider for the commission, is there any additional information you feel like you need? Is there any explanation? Is there any additional thing from the applicant or staff that you need as a commission to make your decision? If it isn't, that's one thing. If there is, it would have to be entered in onto the public record.
Specifically. So I guess a show of hands, who wishes to close? Okay, so there's 3. And you want to close as well, correct? Yes.
Yes or no?
You had questions about the water, right?
I do, and like I said, I don't know if this is a master plan. I was just reading the master plan regulations under this thing. And I don't think this master plan is complete. And the Westerly Water guy said that the applicant should, at his expense, hire a hydraulic engineer to do a water analysis.
Mhm.
Now that, I am very concerned about the water, as a lot of people are. And maybe I would feel better if they ran that analysis now. I'm just throwing that out there.
Are you talking yourself into extending this now?
No, I'm just throwing it out to the commission, because that is, I think we can ask that under the master plan.
That's what I was thinking of when
Under the master, and the Westerly Water Company, it says right in his thing, you know, they will run it, it was a little unclear, but they'll hire an engineer to do it at the applicant's expense with an approved.
They have an
water
engineer that has a
consultant.
model.
Yeah, I know the model.
All water companies do. They all have
Yes,
models.
we have one.
They hire a consultant and the developer pays.
Yes, and so to do that, and if they agree to do that for the next, I'm not saying either way, but if they want to do that for the next, and that's a question for Westerly Water, can they do that in 2 weeks or 65 days or whatever? And if that's something the commission would like to hear as part of the master plan.
So are you
That would
proposing
influence.
to continue?
No, that was a discussion for everybody else
Okay.
too.
Is it too late to make a comment to that?
No, we haven't closed the public hearing yet, so.
In regard to that specific.
I just hang on just one second. I am interested in hearing from you, but I want to try to gain a consensus while this is an active discussion here as to whether people feel the water issue is a significant one and requires additional information in order to make a decision on the master plan.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think water in this area is a huge issue. I talked about it with Paul in the first 3 minutes when I met him. We, as a town, need to get together with Westerly and figure out what's going on there. But I mean, I don't think we can hold off every project until we sort this out. I mean, if we approve it and then they can't get the water, then they can't build it. So, I'm not sure.
So you're comfortable waiting?
I mean,
It would have to be done,
closing.
it would have to be done as a part of the site plan.
Right.
Under your feelings.
Yeah, I mean, if they need water for the project, if they can't get water from the
Then the
Westerly Water
project-
Company. If Westerly Water says, yes, you can use this water, then who are we to say no?
Right.
I mean, I think that.
On the issue of getting together with Westerly, we had a local project, just a small water plant extension, to close a loop. There were two long dead-headed lines. We had rechlorination problems, too far away from the plant and treatment plant. And it's very difficult to propose, and I agree that a single authority that would bring all the jurisdictions that are served by Westerly together is a very good idea, and something should be created. But Westerly is not regulated by Connecticut. Westerly is regulated by Rhode Island, a different health. So they're a regulated industry in Rhode Island. And Connecticut, a long time ago, signed a cooperative agreement agreeing to let them continue to manage it that way. Connecticut Health Department did. So that's always raised when you try to bring the two companies together. But as Carlene said, I think it even if it was an advisory commission of some sort, because we had a very difficult time getting Westerly to work with us on closing a loop that was needed for fire protection. So that shouldn't be lost. Her idea shouldn't be lost, that some sort of an advisory commission be created. But a show of hands of who thinks they need the water issue to decide the master plan.
I don't, but if I can, Mr. Chairman, the show of
Yes.
hands I would say is, I don't think they need the water report for this portion of master plan. I believe that would be a requirement that should be fulfilled during the site plan application. So I would be in favor of then closing the hearing.
Okay, Jerry?
Close the hearing.
Okay, so no, is it safe to say no on your end?
It's safe to say close the hearing.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm
All right,
saying yes or no.
so I guess the motion, and I appreciate.
No, like what phase do we want? We could ask for it in the master plan, but I should maybe ask.
I appreciate you bringing this up, because I share your concern, and I think it's a very good one. I'm glad that you brought it up. Okay, so I guess does somebody wanted to make an additional comment?
I just wanted to say that we knew this was an issue. We met with Westerly Water, and this was the letter they gave us. And just so it's clear in the record, the letter says that there's public water available on Liberty Street for the property, and as part of the subsequent site plan special permit review, a water hydraulic study shall be conducted by our hydraulic engineer firm. So Westerly Water themselves sees this as something happening at the next phase. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. They're not saying we don't have an answer. They're saying we will answer this at the site plan. And I know we're already down the path of flows. Mr. Chairman, you talked about 375 gallons per person per day in a residence.
That's in a residence.
And you're gonna. My understanding is much less in an office building. You know better than I.
Maybe some of those bits of information would have allayed some of my concerns, some of Commissioner Morrison's concerns. But I think at this point, unless somebody has something else to say, we will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close the public hearing for PZ 2619 ZC Redco Holdings LLC and Redco Hookset LLC Robinson and Cole LLP, care of J. Casey.
Motion to close the public hearing, is there a second?
I'll second.
Made and seconded, thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. Now the question of what is the commission's pleasure on this application?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll put a motion on the table, and then if folks are good, we can discuss it at that time. I will make a motion, and I believe we'd have to do 4 separate motions, given the way this is outlined. Okay.
Can I just make a point where I'm not really ready to vote? I need some time to, I don't know if people want to pull that up.
Oh, he had the floor, so.
All right, I'm just saying.
you can-
I mean, actually,
You're just like, are we ready to vote?
I'm sorry,
All right.
you know, we
All right.
have a process here, so.
okay.
Go ahead.
I can actually take a step back and say, is any other commissioner want to wait to vote, or?
No, I'm fine
Okay.
with all.
Okay.
I guess that, what other information would we?
I just need to think about
Would
things
we
a little
want?
bit.
Okay.
I just feel like I'm being pressured into voting right now.
Fair, fair,
But
fair enough.
no one else feels, I'll vote.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve a decision concerning the consistency of plan, with the Plan of Conservation and Development, POCD. The motion is that this is consistent with Plan of Conservation and Development.
Okay, a motion to approve consistency with the plan of development made by Ryan. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Seconded by Gary. Thank you both. Any discussion? Okay, I think it'd be best to roll call on this. If Paul, you can keep track here. Dave? Nice to be first.
So, what's
Put you
the
right on the
question?
spot.
We're not voting. Is
This
it
is
okay to
consistency
go
with the
forward?
plan of development.
For discussion purposes? Yeah, I'll agree with all of them for discussion purposes. But I'm not gonna vote that way, but go ahead.
Okay. I would vote to approve and agree that it does.
It needs to be seconded, the motion needs to be seconded.
Motion be seconded by Gary. Go, and there was no discussion.
I approve.
Approve.
I do not approve.
Okay, so we have 2 in favor.
Again, I approve to
You
go
approve?
forward
Okay.
for discussion.
All right, so the motion passes 3-1.
Wait,
No, this is the motion, you voted to approve it.
You voted to approve.
Yeah.
There was no discussion. I asked for discussion, there was no discussion.
All right, so can we talk about this for a second? I'm going to go through my concerns again.
Okay, so you've withdrawn
I
your vote.
withdraw my vote, and I want to just have some discussion. My concern is we have this NDD, which I feel like has become a scheme for lack of a better term, spot zoning. I like the project. I think we can build it as designed on the property, and I've said this a few times, but I'm concerned that we use the NDD. You know, we spent 3 years, you guys, before I got here, rewriting the zoning codes. And now we have a project that comes in and everybody says, oh, this is the most important project. This is a big deal for the town. We have to improve this project. So we throw zoning out the window. And so we're not using the building height, right? We want to give up the building height. What happens to the developer who buys the lot next door? Are we going to have to give him 56 feet? Or are we going to have to give, we have another developer across the street that's going to ask for an NDD on a fresh lot, green space. I have a hard time doing this. Personally, I think we should keep the 50 feet. I think you can still build 4 stories. You have to might have to be a little creative in how you do it. Still 12 feet floor to ceiling. There are other buildings around that are done that way. So if I have to vote on this, I'll say no. I'll vote.
Okay, so it's 2-2. It's a tie.
Okay.
And the chair votes yes. So it passes 3 to 2. Right?
I guess the next motion, I make a motion to approve that this application is consistent with zoning regulation 10.3.3.
Motion to approve that the application is consistent with the section specified. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Seconded by Gary. Thank you. Any discussion?
I'm not sure what 10.3.3 is.
It's the NDD.
Is the NDD, okay. No discussion.
Okay, so we'll do the same thing again. We'll start from the other end. Take the pressure off.
No.
No?
I approve, yes.
Yes?
Approved.
No.
Chair approves. 3 to 2. Ryan?
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the requested waiver of the physical impact statement, section 16.3.2.a.
Motion to waive the physical impact statement. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Gary. Any discussion? Back to you.
So, may not be the time for this discussion, but Alyssa's comment that she feels pressure, right? So the last time they came in and asked for that 56-foot building, I know I'm going out of school here, I voted yes for it, and I've been unhappy about that ever since then, because I felt the pressure, right? You come in, this is going to be 300 new jobs for the town. So my vote is no.
Okay, I don't know where the pressure's coming from, but I mean, if you're putting that on yourself, I understand. You're either comfortable making a decision or it's yes or no. And you know, I don't know where the pressure's coming from. So it's no. Ryan?
Yes, approved.
Gary?
Yes.
Ms. Morrison?
On this, on waiving the fiscal report, yes, I'll
Yeah.
vote fine.
Okay, so the motion passes 3 to 1. Ryan?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the application for the zoning map amendment for this.
Motion to approve the zoning map amendment. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you both. Any discussion?
May I butt in on that? So I would request, if you're making a motion to approve the map amendment, that we set an effective date. Since it is following the map amendment type of process, it is interesting.
Why don't you suggest one, because that involves publishing it in the newspaper.
Correct. I would actually suggest setting it, let's see, today is the 18th.
And there's an appeal period too that you have to, go.
Yep, there's an appeal period, we have to get it in the paper, it has to be filed in the clerk's office before before the effective date that it's published for. So I would actually recommend setting an effective date.
30 days.
I'd actually say like the 28th, next Friday, that way we have time to.
You can do all that?
Yeah,
By August 28th?
Yeah, to exactly, to
Okay.
put it in the newspaper to say it's effective the 28th, and then put it in the paper, and then put it in the clerk's office, are the steps that's required, and then the appeal period can start.
You amend your motion?
So, Mr. Chairman, I make amend my previous motion on the zoning map amendment to make the effective date of that map amendment effective on August 28th, 2026.
Let's start again.
No.
No?
Yes. Approve.
Approved?
No. Yeah.
Approved. Okay, so it's 2-2, chair votes aye in favor. The motion passes 3-2. I think that concludes this matter, does it not?
Yeah, it does. We have another public hearing.
We do. We have to open the public hearing on the next matter. Why don't we allow the room to clear just for a sec? Sure.
Yeah, it's the blue, right? It's the, the publish and the 48. Yeah, so it increases the 15-day period. So it's actually the 14. Yeah.
Chairs, do I get if I get set up?
Oh, sure.
Okay, we have limited time here, so if we could read the legal notice and then a motion to open.
PZ 2628 SUP JBRV LLC as Sherenzia. Special use permit application for the construction of a 4,589 square foot addition and associated site improvements at existing car dealership. Property is located at 72 Jerry Brown Road, Mystic, M/B/L 164-2-3. Property is located in the G60 zone. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to open the public hearing for PZ 262 SUP JRB, the LLC as Sherenzia.
Thank you, Ryan. A motion to open. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Seconded by Gary. Thank you, Gary. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is open. I see Mr. Sherenzia and his client are here. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you.
We're very limited on time here. I'm sorry about that. One thing we don't have control over, and we do have to clear this room by 10:30. So, we're very interested in what you have to say. Don't want to put any time constraints on you, but it'd be great if we could work within the time limit. We do have one other item on the agenda.
We will be brief. I think we can get through this presentation probably. I'll see if I can get through it in about 15-20 minutes or so. For the record, Sergio Sherenzia with Sherenzia & Associates, office at 99 Mechanic Street, Pawcatuck, Connecticut. The plans before you this evening and the application were prepared by my office and my responsible charge. The site survey was prepared by my survey manager, Mark Castellanos, and I am a licensed engineer in the state of Connecticut. With me this evening is Robert Valenti, owner and applicant of JBRV LLC, the owner of the property located at 72 Jerry Brown Road, map 164, block 2, lot 3. Also here with me this evening is Rick Rivero from Provost and Rivero. Rick is the design, build, architect, engineer, contractor who will be constructing, hopefully, this addition that we're going to be proposing to you this evening. Typically, I start with a site plan that shows the existing conditions. However, this project has some history. About 10 years ago, Mr. Valenti proposed to the town and the commission, and we applied and were successful in obtaining a special use permit for an independent dealership building that was located in the south, actually the westerly portion of the property. Just to orient you on the map that's in front of you right now, this is the previously approved plan. The current dealership consists of Valenti Ford, Chevy, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. And the purpose we're here tonight is for an expansion to the Volkswagen. I'll bring your attention to the previous approved plan, which was this 15,600 square foot structure, independent Volkswagen dealership that was once again approved about 10 years ago. With it, we had also included a stormwater system to improve the current stormwater management on that site, a series of catch basins that would collect stormwater from the parking lot, was stored underground to provide detention storage, and then discharged to the swale, relatively large swale that abuts I-95. Just to orient you, I-95 is to the bottom of the page, and Jerry Brown Road is to the north of the page. The buildings are situated relatively in the center, the wetlands up into the northern portion, and then there's an expansive area for automobile display, storage, and parking. Fast forward to the current plan. We've modified this proposal to be an addition to the structure that is currently the Volkswagen dealership. Once again, those buildings that are kind of centered in the middle of the property here, and you can see the proposed addition actually has been significantly reduced in size compared to the previous proposal, 4,500, around 4,600 square feet. Slab on grade construction that will be connected to the existing Volkswagen dealership by a covered through driveway. So the purpose of this of the addition is to improve sales, provide some additional offices, basically an upgrade to the current facility. Those of you who may be familiar with dealerships, and Mr. Dunkley can attest to, over time and over years, in order to keep the types of cars that he sells there, the automobile dealerships and the car manufacturers require him to upgrade his facilities so that they can stay up to date and be on the cutting edge of sales and of different products and appeal to consumers. Part of this project is to update the parking lot, reconfigure some of the parking spaces. We're providing that all will be proposed to be paved. I'm going to bring up the stormwater because that's an important aspect of this. What we have proposed is pretty much similar to what was previously proposed. This site is very flat, and we're taking that stormwater, and that stormwater currently drains kind of towards the buildings, gets captured by catch basins that are dry wells that infiltrate into the ground. Right now, there's very little, no treatment of that stormwater. The previous system that we proposed and this one consists of an underground detention system. Will capture the stormwater directed away from the wetlands, so we're not directing it right off and into those wetlands adjacent. Collect it and treat it in a stormwater system. This underground system is fitted with isolator rows, which will settle out some of the initial sediment to provide that level of treatment before it's stored and then detained and conveyed to discharge to the stream that I referenced. At the request of the town engineer, we've had a couple of meetings and discussions. He also has recommended that we incorporate a hydrodynamic separator. For those of you who don't know what those are, HDS or hydrodynamic separator units. They enlist mostly like a swirl technology, like a centrifuge to drop solids and sediments out. They're a proprietary technology to take care of that first flush of stormwater runoff from that, which you heard earlier this evening, that 1.3 inch water quality volume.
Which way does the water flow? South out of the swale to 95? Is 95 to the left there?
95 is to the south or to the bottom of the page, and the swale runs more or less east to west.
Okay.
Yeah, and it ends up and gets into the wetland complex, and then I believe it crosses 95 and
So
ends
north
up.
is up.
Yes. North is more or less up into the to your left, up into the left. You can see this down here. And so north is in this direction.
Okay, so that's 95.
95 is to the
along
south.
The bottom.
Yep.
And up to the right. Okay.
And Jerry Brown Road is up to the top of the page. Yep. We did conduct soil evaluations out there. Like I said, flat. There's wetlands adjacent, shallow groundwater. So, and given that this has been mostly developed, the underground route was the best opportunity we had to store and treat and send that water on its way. We also have obtained a wetlands permit for this property, and we are proposing and we're approved with wetlands more or less a buffer, linear buffer of plantings along the edge of the pavement to really define, and then allowing that wetland buffer edge to just restore naturally and plant as needed, seed and plant it up as needed. From the previous approval, we do have a slight reduction in the amount of impervious area, as well as an increase in that restoration I referred to. So we feel that this application is, now that 10 years later, has been improved from the previous proposal. Smaller building and more environmentally sensitive. I will just flash up real quick the building plans themselves. And you can see Rick has put up the, on the board behind me. Can you all see this okay?
Yes.
Put up closer. Just to show what the building looks like, you know, all the front of it being glass, all the architectural features are mandated pretty much by Volkswagen. It's very standardized type of architecture. Rick will tell you that it's not a very, for his folks, it's not a very creative project, but it's necessary, and everything is submitted through Volkswagen, and he's painstakingly gone through and make sure he's met all the criteria that they require. There'll be showrooms in the front showcasing the vehicles, along with sales areas, offices, and a lounge and reception area. Also, the service desks, as folks can drive through, the covered carport area to get out of their cars, and then it can be taken to service beyond for convenience of getting out and getting your service appointment, either staying or grabbing a loaner car. Parts department in the back, but it's going to be attached to the existing service building, which is to the east side, more or less. This is upside down. Flip it over. So if it was oriented the way you're looking at on the site plan, people come in from this direction and drive through, and the service building is on your right. And if you're looking at the page, and the building, the new addition to the left. As I mentioned, I did meet with the town engineer. We've gotten sign off from fire department. We got a positive endorsement from the police commission. Architectural review board also did not have any comments. I don't mean to steal Paul's thunder, but I believe that we have a wetlands approval. If you have any questions, I believe I've covered anything. Rob, did you have anything to add? And Mr. Rivero's here if you have any questions about the building itself.
No, I think you covered it pretty good. I don't have anything to add unless you have any questions for us.
I think it's a very nice looking building.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice job. It's not easy to
You
deal
can
with
thank
the subject.
Volkswagen for that.
Auto dealerships, yeah.
This is really a showroom, and it's, being a franchise is brand identity, quite frankly, more than anything else. So from an architectural standpoint, it's not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They essentially give us a design criteria document in which we have to adopt the site. Sergio's done a great job of adapting the site, and we adapted to the existing building and meet all of their finish criteria. So predominantly glass, ACM, Volkswagen finishes. Their intent is to have this building look the same in Mystic as it would be in LA or in Stuttgart, Germany. So you can identify the brand, and that's really the crux of this addition. It's just a showroom addition. Service will be done where it's currently done, be upgraded, but nonetheless, service will be done there. They're looking for the brand identity and the service drive, so one can drive through the elements. Certainly, any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Appreciate your time.
My question on the site, when everything is done, are there any gravel lots left on the site? Like, I know now the unloading area is a gravel lot. Does that where the car carriers come in and unload their vehicles? That's a gravel lot. Does that stay a gravel lot?
That stays a gravel lot.
Okay.
Yes.
Any others that are gravel lots?
No, I don't think so. I think everything pretty much is paved in front of Ford, Chevy, Chrysler.
Okay.
Used to be Volkswagen.
And you said overall impervious is lowered in this.
Yeah, one thing that we did not have 10 years ago was an impervious zoning requirement. But we meet that requirement, and we've actually got a slight reduction from the previous proposal.
I think the stormwater upgrade and the treatment upgrades are going to make a big difference down there. So good job getting it done on this compressed site. Any other questions from the commission?
I just have one out of curiosity, and I don't know if maybe it was shown on the prior page of that, but is there going to be any increase like in lighted signage over there? Like, because I know some of the buildings there now, you have the Ford or whatever. I'm just curious if there's going to be something like that.
I believe that.
Do you have I thought I saw it. So just,
Yeah, put that one back. I think they probably, because it's Volkswagen Mystic, so I think probably that VW clip.
Just
they call
that's it? Okay.
That clip, which is already on the building now.
Right.
And that will just move to there, and then probably the Mystic.
so there wouldn't be anything
Mystic
above
lit.
the building or
No.
lighted
that-
signage?
No, that's it right there. And the brand sign is already out by the highway, that's already approved, been out by the highway for years.
Okay, all right, that's all my question.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else? Staff?
Yeah, so on the report, we know that the architectural review design board had issued a positive referral to this commission. At the time, we didn't have the completed meeting minutes, but they're available now, and it's consistent with what we recommend.
Yeah, and I was there actually at that meeting too, and a lot of their comments were pretty much along the lines of it actually matched the existing architecture of the building. It's actually this end of the building, which is the older end, is actually slightly, different than the other one, so it kind of bookends it. So when they presented in front of the Architectural Design Review Board, it pretty much just got it approved.
Super. Any response? Did you agree with the comments from the town engineer and all the staff?
Yeah, we've been working with the town engineer, as I spoke with him as late as today, and he had just a couple of outstanding concerns that we agreed that we will
I think
address.
they've got some conditions recommended and we'll cover
Yes.
the conditions.
And the
Yeah.
fire marshal and the building office pieces, we had to submit to Volkswagen a complete construction set for their approval. So we're actually, from an architectural and engineering standpoint, building, we're in a position to apply for a building permit, which includes code reviews, fire safety reviews for the fire marshal and the building inspector.
Is the DOT permit been issued or is there one not even required?
Jerry Brown Road's a town road.
Okay.
So there's no.
So it doesn't
DOT.
go on to the 95 property at all, if anything?
No.
Lucky for you. I guess we have nobody signed up. Unless there are more questions from the commission or the applicant wishes to make additional statements, we'll move to go to public input at this point on this application. Is there anyone in the audience that, no one signed up, so I'll ask for anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor or just make a general statement or against this application. Hearing none, the applicant wish any additional time for any additional statements?
No, I'll let you get on with your evening, but we hope you can provide a positive approval for this application for the special use permit and the site plan approval.
Thank you. Thank you for the efficient presentation. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close the public hearing for PZ 2628 SUP JBRV LLC Escherensia.
Motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
What's the commission's pleasure on the VW application?
Just a question, can I make a combined motion for the special use permit and waivers, or do you want me to do it separately? I'm asking Paul.
I think we would be typically okay on these ones that you do them together.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve both the special use permit and the waivers requested for this application with the following three stipulations. Number one, the applicant shall address the outstanding comments to the satisfaction of the building official, town engineer, fire marshal, police commission, and town planner. Number two, final plans shall be reviewed to the satisfaction of the town engineer and town planner. And number three, final plans shall be signed by the commission and recorded in the town's land evidence records.
Motion with three conditions by Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you both. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains. You're approved.
Thank you.
Give me that fan.
Yeah, I need that fan. You need a fan right
Give me
now.
that fan. I need that fan.
It's gonna be worse up there.
I love that commercial. person.
Thank you all so much, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have to reopen
Yes. So we're going to reopen.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to reopen the public hearing for the 2026-2036 Town of Stonington Plan of Conservation and Development.
Motion to reopen the public hearing from our previous meeting on August 4th. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is open. I think we have a presentation from the development director.
Let me just get myself set up.
That responds to some of what we heard during the last meeting. So Paul, turn the floor over to you.
Yep, so tonight, due to the length of the period of time for the meetings and for the hearings anticipated earlier, I gave SLR the night off to give them more time to actually review some of the items. So while I'm in the process of bringing these up, I would actually like to say that on the future land use map, we've made some changes, but we're still reviewing some very specific aspects of it. So that I would actually anticipate and let the public know too, that this will likely be continued again to the 1st. But that is something, again, being new here as well, gives me the opportunity to hear whatever the residents are saying and look at it with a fresh set of eyes, and kind of dive in with the SLR team. First item, I'm just kind of going to go through these reports were provided to the commission, and they were also provided on the back table for the public. They will be put on the website tomorrow. Oh. That is.
Can't read that.
I'm a good speed
That's
reader,
new.
but not that good.
Can't read that fast.
So what's on the screen in front of you is kind of a set of highlights. I won't go into kind of what's existing. So this was the yellow highlighted ones were from the August 4th, 2026 public hearing. So the purple on the new edits that I'll kind of point out. So on the public transport, we had talked about the feasibility for the train station. Again, a very specific comment was to Westerly via Mystic Station as service currently ends in New London. Clarification, pretty simple. Another item, so in talking with our water pollution control authorities, we were reviewing the clean water Wikiquock kind of question came up, and I reviewed their correspondence that they submitted. And I worked together with the town's water pollution control and with with our sewer division and our consultant to kind of look at what we can really realistically say and recommend. Because really the plan of conservation and development isn't a sewer study in itself. That's not one where I've talked with a consultant that we, as part of this process, we did not go deep in as a town to study every single sewer surface area. That would be a very large project on itself. That would typically be outside of it. However, what has been presented to us is the information that from the community for us to kind of convey to the town to look forward to. So some wording that we propose adding to sewer infrastructure on top of that one is to add several areas have been so properties outside of sewer service area rely on private septic systems, which are common throughout central and northern Stonington. The Ledge Light Health District oversees the review, permitting, and inspection of these systems. Now we're going to add, several areas have been identified as potential areas for future sewer expansion. However, the existing constraints of the town's sewer system and substantial costs associated with these projects need to be considered. During the development of this plan, Wikiquock Village was identified by the community as an area of concern that is not currently supported by public sewer or water infrastructure. Recent water quality tested reported by the Wikiquock Clean Water Coalition, WCWC, and Clean Up the Sound and Harbors, CUSH, has identified bacterial contamination in Wikiquock Cove, Wikiquock Pond, and nearby storm drains and ditches. Continued evaluation of water quality and sources of pollution in the Wikiquock area is recommended to establish baseline site-specific technical information and environmental considerations to be able to identify the feasibility of the available options. So we took kind of the approach of saying, at the POCD level, that study hasn't been done, and I think it's that telling that agency that that's the recommendation. this is what's been reported to you as the commission. The community has come forward, they've spoken, they've presented their data that they've looked into, and now this is you kind of setting that goal for the town over the next 10 years, and then the more intermediate time to look into that. So if there's no concerns or questions with that, again, I think we'll have more chance to discuss, but this will be posted out there, because I know there were several residents who did show up from that area, spoke about this passionately, so they may also have comments about this revision. So if there's hearing none,
I would just make one comment on that. The WPCA is undertaking a facilities plan, a new facilities plan for the town, to look at the consolidation, possible consolidation of the 3 plants. It's a very difficult thing to do, but we're looking at a consolidation possibly, or upgrade of the 3 plants. And we may be able to look at some of these questions as an aside.
Yep, and that's when I did my research and looking into it too in other areas of the plan is, yeah, as is even noted tonight during an application, the moratorium, there's sewer being diverted, these are all large things that you can't easily just make a statement, add someplace without considering the system. So I think we kind of captured that.
I like what you did. Just, there may be some relief in some of these areas that comes out of the facilities plan.
That's great. So on top of that too, we can add in, and I think this goes right into this, the facilities plan that we already have this as, so this was refined from the last time it was added and proposed on the 4th. You can see the highlighted for add action G. So now it will read, identify sources of contamination in Wickedy-Quack Cove area. Based upon findings, conduct a feasibility study for strategies to reduce contamination and nutrient load, such as upland mitigation strategies or expanding public sewer and water facilities to the village of Wickedy-Quack to mitigate public health and water quality concerns. Again, it's a recommended designations for the WPCA as a study and a short term. So again, refining that, and again, in looking at it too, when it was originally considered just saying, okay, extend sewer. There's gonna be more always to a watershed area. And in reading actually their report that they gave to us as well, the fact that it was found in storm drainage, the fact that it was found in ditches, kind of begs a different question too of saying maybe the scope isn't so small that it's larger, and kind of point to that for the future. So that's kind of the review that we did of that. So that's kind of our amendment there.
Did you talk to Dan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, no, I went over these with Dan, we kind of had a good discussion, and that was like me learning about the towns, what our capacities are, and things I'm gonna have to consider as well in the future. This was an item that was brought up. Again, we left in this action E, so it was basically make a STR ordinance, short-term ordinance. We've kind of just looked at and said explore strategies to address management of short-term rentals such as a STR in consultation with residents and neighborhood representatives. I know it was kind of brought up during a speaker that maybe it shouldn't be in the POCD. That is up to the commission if you would like to remove it as there. But again, this is more explore strategies. If you do have residents who are coming and complaining to areas of concern, it may not be a town-wide, it might be what other, because private communities have done it for themselves. They have their authority to do it in that, but other areas of towns don't necessarily have that. So are there other strategies in place rather than a blanket? Is there areas which are more important, or I should say where there's more impact? It may be something that's an impact-based regulation. Again, from my point of view, I always recommend doing it ordinance-based rather than zoning-based, just because the complications of an STR, once you add it in zoning, you have a lot of questions about anything that's ever happened. Ordinances are a good way to keep it up with the time, and that way, if you change your ordinance, people have to continuously comply, something new comes out, an issue. That's my recommendation. So another area, again, this protect coastal and inland natural resources. We are also looking a little bit at Chapter 6 with this, but collaborate with experts and stakeholders to develop strategies to protect and improve water quality. There was another impassioned presentation about what we can do to protect water quality. I think we really need to get these stakeholders in and get something that's more concrete. Again, a lot of people are saying we need more data. We need more data. We need something concrete in here. But to throw something in at the 11th hour that really hasn't been studied, it's the defining the question before you get the answer. So this is at the point where, where yes, we should absolutely acknowledge this, we recommend doing so, but we're at the point of defining the question, and then going to where we can go further. So that's our recommendation for that action item. And again, that would be a study, the Department of Planning, and short-term as well, looking at how I see this, how this works with LID regulations. It works with how we're going to be looking at development in the future. I would like to, as you know, we assigned it to ourselves to look at this and see how we can kind of pull all this together with these stakeholders. So again, other than adding in for the supporting solar, that was brought up, it is in there, but again, it was the, adding in Department of Public Works and K-12 as the responsibilities, instead of just the Board of Selectmen, having actually the other users and people to do that. So that's the recommendations for, these are the overall ones. So for the revised future land use plan, and we have a revised plan that we included as well, but actually, did I miss something on the other? Because I believe this one, if I reached over it, yes, because it wasn't highlighted. So page 94, the future land use map, we made some very specific changes as well. So Ender's Island is changed from low density residential to institutional. It was low density residential in 2015 POCD. However, based upon comments we received, review, consideration, that it made sense to make it an institutional use just by its use. Parcel 17113B changed from institutional to open space. Preserved farmland and resource conservation. It's a town-owned, so there's going to be some back and forth in these future land use maps, because town-owned parcels are either institutional or open space. They default to institutional. If we haven't put something on top of it, if you see lots of little blue parcels around and they're town-owned ones, it defaults to institutional by the way that you look at it. This one was brought to our attention by a resident as part of a subdivision. This is behind the Hartford Healthcare property that used to be the Maple Breeze. So you have a strip there, which is actually a detention basin. So our thought was, yes, it is a institutional detention basin use, but it's a very green and lush area. So to point to the future, if anyone wanted to say, rip into that as Public Works and say, we want to do something very intentionally, like a large detention basin that would tear down all the trees, there's value in it as open space as the buffer, and it should be considered. So that's the staff's recommendation. Again, if you have any concerns, let us know. And then parcel 17-3-6 changed from open space, preserved farmland, and resource. So this is a state owned park and ride at 321 Liberty Street. Again, as we were reviewing all these institutional and open space sites, I looked at that one and went, yeah, no, that's institutional, that's a parking lot. Whatever the DOT, it looks like they have been filling behind that parking lot with spoils over time, just looking at an aerial, so it's a very institutional use. The one areas too that we did talk about, it's not exactly put on here all the way, is when I go through the future land use map, there was concerns about areas that were historically farmland, or not historically farmland, should I say. They are residentially zoned, but they're not protected by a specific act. They're not anything like that. There are residents who came out and spoke passionately. It's been in their family for generations. That's not the intent. We listened. So we kind of defined those criteria, and I'll kind of get to that. So existing zoning. So there's a lot of question about the future land use map now that we're down into it. Because again, our office has been hearing a lot about people saying, stop the zone change, stop the zone change. There was information put out there about a zone change from a RA to an RH. This does not purport any zone changes. It does not say to do zone changes. And it's really hard to compare the 2015 to the 2026 map because it's not apples to apples. This is a newer, this is the process that SLR used, that the categories don't all perfectly match. There was a medium density and a moderate density. Well, they're kind of very similar type things. There's low density, that's across it. But in the past one, there were two different open space, preserved and like protected or utilized open space. The golf course was listed as open space. On this current map, the golf course is not open space, as it is a recreational facility, but we're looking more definitions of what open space is. So for existing zoning, again, we just add, however, the future land use plan shows generalized land uses. So again, this is generalized. Everyone's saying, how does this affect the specific parcel? The goal of this, and talking with SLR, is it's their recommendation, and the commission, if you choose to do so, you can put parcel lines on your future land use plan. It is recommended by the consultant not to put parcel lines on there, because again, it's supposed to be generalized. You're not supposed to be able to point to one parcel and one next to it and say, well, mine's shown in it, but it's right next to one, so it's not compatible. It considers the area. So that's something to consider, and let me know your concept on what you're thinking. I'll add them if you want me to, but it's recommended by the consultant to leave it generalized. The community, it is all over the place by every town. 2015, yeah, 2015 it has them in there. I've been in other towns where it doesn't have them in there, and then I've overlaid a map to kind of give myself a concept of where I am. So if it is something you would like to see, it's something we can do.
Well, I think it's up to the commission. I think it allows a resident to get a better idea of how it impacts them, as opposed to, it does impact you, but we're really not going to tell you. Kind of thing. I think you're better off with the person on the map.
Yep, so we can update that, and I can get that up on the website as well, if that is the will of the commission.
I think that's a good idea, and we agreed that we were going to put something up on the website so they can see it.
Yes. Yep, and I'll answer to that.
Probably have more people here tonight, because we haven't done that. I think we should.
And it's a timing matter of the turn and burn for 2 weeks out, and actually one of the consultants had a vacation. It's kind of what it is. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You have limited resources, and I think you do the best you can. So, but I think before our next meeting, all these maps were drawn on GIS maps. So putting the property line layer back in should be simple.
Yep, and we can do that, and I can actually have that done very quickly and have it put up on the website. The one thing I can add to is there was questions about a list. Again, it's a generalized map. The list has been kind of willed into existence.
You didn't say we were going to put a list.
Oh no.
You said it was a map
Yes.
or a list.
Yes, so what I've done is I've looked at areas, and actually, because that was put out there, one of the comments that was submitted by a resident said it was a response from SLR that specifically said there are 300 and odd Yes.
They did, right.
I did look at that, and I'm working with them. I'm comparing those two. Their criteria they're looking at is, it wasn't that specific low to that. It was talking about 40,000 square foot parcels. Others, it was a little more generalized. So I do have a specific area I can talk about briefly that I've kind of looked into and generally, but kind of give you an idea. But I will kind of have more information for you on that. But I really want to vet that, because I don't think it's anywhere near that amount. But there are, like, it's an area that I can show that has about 125 parcels in it with a median parcel size of 0.39 acres. So, when you're looking at moderate density, if it already has a median of 0.39, it's kind of legitimately realizing what it is. So I'll kind of get through this, and then I'll go to the map. So again, we can look at these, the natural land use constraints. Again, we point to the future land use plan to identify areas that may be difficult to develop. Preservation of natural and cultural resources, that wasn't in there as well. The scenic roads is definitely considered as part of a cultural resource. How to use the future land use plan, again, we make sure this plan is not a regulatory document or a zoning map, make it clear. The land use categories in the future land use plan are generalized categories and do not correspond directly with zoning districts. These categories may group areas subject to different zoning regulations together based on common land use, but each district retains its distinct development pattern, scale, and context. In addition, through the future land use, though the future land use shows primary uses for each area, this does not preclude other allowable or permitted uses. The specific context of each parcel or area should be considered when a zoning or land use change is proposed. This is what I kind of discussed at the last meeting, something to talk to the commission in the future of what your intent for this map is for the town, of what you want this to be used at, as noted again by a resident, of when this is used in 8 years, there could be changeover. So who are you, as you talk to your future person on the commission, how do you want them to use this map? So that was added, and I welcome any comment. It can be now, it can be later as well. So when we went in, and the big question was, what are these moderate, low density, moderate, and high density? So we've put kind of a little bigger face on them, a little clearer face. So low density, again, means a minimum lot size of 40,000 square feet or greater, generally served by private water and septic systems single-family residential development. Pretty clear. More rural areas, natural resource constraints, allow single-family home development on large lots or within open space developments, as well as complementary communal, institutional, or agricultural uses. We kind of understand low density, but it could be an area with a small lot, but because of the constraints, we actually say, no, this should not be made any larger than it is. Moderate density, minimum lot sizes of 15,000 or 20,000 square feet, including some areas which may permit attached housing and some areas which only allow single-family residential development. Some parcels with larger lot sizes, 40,000 square feet or greater, were included in this category if they also, 1, fall within a public sewer service area, 2, lie in proximity to a village center or commercial corridor, and 3, are not otherwise substantially limited by natural resource constraints, as these parcels may be suitable for consideration for development at a greater density than current zoning allows. Talking to the future, what we looked at, some of them are 1 acre parcels within the medium or in moderate density, but these are the reasons why they were looked at. If someone comes in for a zone change in front of the commission and it can be pointed to, here's the environmental constraints, then you point to the PUC and say, well, no, this is not one of those lots, and you kind of move forward. High density, again, other than clearing up, it was 10,000 square, lots of 10,000 square feet. Attached housing currently may be permitted. This is all the same languages in there. Again, of note, many residential properties in Stonington lie within floodplain areas and or the coastal management areas. And while the designation do not preclude additional development or density, the town should carefully consider the balance between housing growth, flood risk, and public safety when reviewing plans for residential development across all 3 of these future land use categories. Again, speaking to the future. Let's see, we added in commercial, shipyards, marinas, and coastal retail. To be clear about that, some of them were shown in residential zoning when that's not really compatible with that, so we cleared some of that up. And this open space preserved farmland and resource conservation. Preserved farmland is added in. Primarily, we're talking about preserved farmland designated by the town's Agricultural Heritage District by the Connecticut Department of Agricultural Farmland Preservation Program or Community Farms Preservation Program, or classified under Public Act 490. So these are all specific agricultural programs, designators. There was concern, I know one resident, as I noted earlier, family farm, not their intention for open space, not their intention for that, want to be able to divide it up, give it to their kids. If this is something that you are okay with, we kind of worked with that, and that did take, a couple parcels off of that open space layer and put them into their underlying zoning category, pretty much low density residential that they were in anyway, because those the farmlands are in the low density residential areas. Again, if there aren't any concerns with that, that kind of satisfies that concern, but specifically notes that these are the programs that we're considering. And this is just cleaning up the CAM language. All right, so let's do this on the computer. And I'll be almost done. Oh, just about. So, this has been, once it hopefully doesn't freak out. There you go. Yep. So, map updated 8/18, as we noted, Mason's Island, Ender's Island is institutional. One of the areas we talked about, this area is the one behind Maple Breeze, the old Maple Breeze Hartford Healthcare site. Again, switched to open space. A lot of the areas that were right in this area and at the bottom, Tagalonk Spur, those are now in their industrial. This one is actually more, I think it's actually in the industrial, if I remember correctly, because it is the solar array as well, so that is in power generation. They have that there, but the other area along here, which was the family's property, is returned to residential zoning. And the one area I did want to point out, so in reviewing this in past, and I want to get clearer information, but there's been some concerns. This area of town, up by the area we're talking about, by Liberty Street and the exit, in the 2015 POCD is also shown as medium density. So you have medium and moderate. They're very similar. Again, it's not apples to apples, but I did not see any drastic changes in this area that would change it from one to another. Same thing through most of this area, but there is one area, and this is what I was kind of looking at. I want to get more concrete numbers. Other than 1 8-acre parcel in this, everything else is pretty much just slightly over 1 acre, but most, again, it's about ½ acre is the general, 0.48, and then I think it was 0.39 is the median. So it's kind of not this neighborhood here, because the neighborhood below, again, excuse me, I don't have all the names of the roads yet in my head, but this was the one, and I reviewed back to the old zoning minutes for the rewrites. Again, I don't want to conflate the two, but I think some of the consternation in the area came up because there was a potential recommendation in that area of that RA 20, and that's the flyer was going out about single family to RH. There's no proposed changes. That area was always shown as middle, medium, or moderate. The one area that was shown as lower density is kind of where I'm kind of mousing around right here. In this area, I think that's Pawcatuck Ave, if I remember correctly, and then you have a couple of side streets of it as well. Those are very small lots. In the past future land use map, that was shown as low density, and my rough estimate is about 125 parcels in this area. But again, with a median 0.39 acre lot, they're small lots. So looking forward at, considering that low density, that's kind of what I wanted to bring up. I'm going to look more about it as well, but again, this is future land use. This is acknowledging what's there. This is not saying rezone anything. There may be initiatives to do so, but that is there are small lots in that area. Again, this is south of the railroad, just to kind of provide people kind of that context. Here you have South Broad Street, and then I believe this is the railroad as well. So just to give you a concept of area. And other than that, that's the future land use map. Some minor changes as we went through, but that's available. I'm going to get it out there, and at your request, I'll get it out there with parcel lines as well, and then the commission can decide which you would like to adopt into your POCD, kind of give you that option. And that concludes my presentation.
Anybody in the audience wish to make a comment? Sir?
Can I just ask a question while he's gone? We don't have that in our package. Are you going to send those?
Do you, yeah, again, they were.
All right. I thought it was the same one as
they wouldn't be in your packet. I received them at 3:45 today.
Okay, all right. But they'll be posted so we can review them.
Yep, well, that's why they'll be posted tomorrow, because I received them today.
Thanks.
Hi, Don Sadowski. I was going to know what I'm going to be talking about here. Just a little blip that's in the Timber Ridge
I
neighborhood.
can't see what you're pointing at.
Okay, well, the map's not up there anymore.
I wouldn't even try, not at this point. Just, why don't you give us the address of what you're talking about?
I don't know the exact address, but it's part of the Timber Ridge neighborhood.
Okay.
All right?
That's the open space behind the old water slide?
Yes. Now, they're classifying that as being part of the medical facility. This was part of the subdivision years ago. Okay? And there was access off of Timber Ridge to get to this piece. Okay? The developer at the time had it labeled as open space for the neighborhood. Then because we looked at property there, this is back in '93. All right, so we weren't sure what open space meant. Does it mean everybody in the neighborhood comes over in your backyard and has a party? So we didn't buy that particular lot, we went a little further down the street. But more research I think needs to be done here, because this was part of that subdivision.
Why don't you meet with the town development director, and I'm sure he'll work with you on getting to the bottom of it.
I just get concerned that when you label something that's owned by the town, what else can happen there? Okay? And we have a detention pond on this road that has supposedly a right-of-way off of Route 2 by the medical center. But sometimes you see it on a plan, then it disappears. Just like this open space did. It seemed to have stayed in the developer's name. Then next thing you know, it's part of the Maple Breeze. Then it's not part of the Maple Breeze. It's back to the subdivision. So
I think the parcel lines are gonna help everybody see this in a more granular way. And then when you have it as a PDF, you can blow it up, and it will really help you get a more granular picture. But I would ask that if you think that something's been overlooked, we definitely want to address that. Please work with the development director to share your thoughts to get it corrected.
Well, I did. We sat down and we had a discussion, and he brought it up to me that it was part of the town property and all that. And I did mention that I don't believe that's accurate, because somehow along the line, when that subdivision was approved, it had to have some sort of open space. And that parcel was part of it. But somehow it got turned into something else, and I'm just concerned, if it's town-owned now, what could go in there? How are you gonna get to it?
Paul, I'd ask you to take a look at it, okay?
Do you wanna get together again, Paul? What do you want to do?
Absolutely, and I could just quickly respond, because I don't get to move on, that was during the presentation when I talked about the one parcel right there that was institutional, that we did change to open space, that after we met, I reviewed the old, basically the old subdivision map, found the detention basin, looked at that, and that's why we made that consideration of looking to go, turn it to open space, because of the value it provides that neighborhood as well as the buffer to the Hartford Healthcare site as well.
Yeah.
So yep, I definitely did hear you, and we actually did make the change.
Okay, I misunderstood that.
Yep.
But
So
you
you're all
still wanna
set.
meet, we'll meet.
Thank you. Carlene, you're next on the list. Good evening again.
Yes. Good. Getting late. Woo. All right.
Oh, we got to go.
Again, for the record, my name is Carlene Donahugo. Unfortunately, I did not have enough time to read the whole document, but I read enough to be able to offer some suggestions that I feel would improve the document. I approached this with my business educator background, training, and experience. Over many years, I have done a lot of proofreading of documents to find errors and to determine if the document has clear and no confusing text. With that in mind, I offer the following suggestions to enhance this document. 1. On pages 9, 10, and 18, reference is made to an Appendix A. I could not find an Appendix A anywhere. Page 18 finally gives a clue. It identifies this as a community profile and existing conditions report, which I could also not find. 2, the document has 10 figures as visual display of what is being written about. But in most cases, the actual figure is not on the page across from the written word. Therefore, it would be most helpful if the actual page number where the figure is were enumerated in the written text. For example, figure 2.1 is mentioned on page 26, but the actual figure doesn't appear in the document until page 30. Therefore, to avoid confusion, I suggest the following format. Figure 2.1, see page 30. Figure 2.2, see page 31, etc., through the rest of the 10 figures.
Carly, could I ask you how long your list is? We have 13 minutes and we have
Yeah, I know.
300 people that would like to speak, so.
Well, you might have to continue this public hearing.
And you can submit it to us, it would allow the other 3 people to, an opportunity to speak. I know you work very hard on these things.
Yes, I do, and it's very time
But 3
consuming.
people have waited
I know.
3.5 hours to speak, and I would like to give them an opportunity to speak.
Well, I really have some important stuff to tell you. Are you going to continue this hearing? I will come
We
back.
are going to continue, yes.
You are going to continue it?
Yes.
Then maybe I shouldn't
Yeah.
even
We're not
start it
voting
to
on
speak.
anything. Thank you for your consideration.
I can wait until the next time and continue then. if
You
that-
always do a great job for us, and I appreciate it.
Well, I think
It's
I've
just
got
that I
some
can't
important
imagine
things
how
to think about.
these 3 people sitting for 3 hours and 18 minutes would feel if they don't get a chance to talk.
All right, let them talk and I'll come back.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to add to Carleen that please submit those to the staff as well, especially if they're things like that for consideration.
I assure you it's well-written and you'll
Yes,
understand it.
please submit it, and then we can address it at the next meeting. Thank
Okay.
you.
So the next
You want to
person,
submit it before I put it into the record?
Yes.
okay, we could,
Okay.
I will not. I will say them first and then give them to you. That's.
Thank you,
the
Carmen.
things around me. I'll have that question.
Ali Jarula. Good evening again, Ali.
Hello, thank you. It is a long wait. We need to figure something out here with these meetings because so many people end up leaving. It is such a long wait. But hello, I'm Ali Jarrell at 23 Russell. Thank you so much for putting this together. Thank you for spending the time being here. Everyone is exhausted. I have 3 things I'd like to discuss. The Amtrak discussion, the wordage, the verbiage, I don't really, I want to be careful about that. It says promoting increased Amtrak intercity rail service. And I don't know if it's the town's desire for the shoreline or for the high-speed line that we seem to be having meetings around us about. So I'd like to clarify that. The other things that I'd like to discuss is the sidewalks and crosswalks. I'd like to have a focus on that for POCD. We are having new development, old development. We want to connect them. We want to make sure that we get down to downtown Pawcatuck and Westerly. We want to make sure that it's safe. After the heavy snowfall, I witnessed a couple of people foot into the road of Liberty walking along. So you can imagine, we really do need sidewalks and we need crosswalks, and I really think that is something that our town should focus on when developing these new developments. The most important thing, though, I do ask is the Pawcatuck sole source aquifer regulations. Yes, the POCD does mention the aquifer, but it glosses over the real importance of the sole source aquifer. It doesn't highlight groundwater contamination risks or groundwater withdrawal impacts. It doesn't talk about the development on the recharging wells and how this affects the watershed as a whole. It doesn't contain details about the coordinated aquifer governance with Westerly, which we talked about a little bit and the commission discussed as well. Over the last few years, I've presented and I learned that there really is a hole with protecting our aquifer. We have 30% of our residents and soon more with the developments ahead rely on our Westerly water. However, when we build, Westerly Council is informed. Then it becomes a who is on first game. Yes, it's federally protected, but they get involved, the federal gets involved only when it's federally funded. So who's protecting our water? Again, this past July 4th weekend, as the residents of Stonington opened their taps, we wondered about the quality water or water at all was coming out. We waited, we finally heard from Westerly, but there's still mixed messages. The developer said it was infrastructure. I went back and I looked at Westerly's Facebook comments, and it wasn't infrastructure. It was the droughts, and it was high use because of the high heat. So we're not getting even the right answers here from Stonington.
If you can wrap it up, Ali, we are going to get ejected at 10:30.
Okay.
I got 2 more people.
I understand. But I waited 3.5 hours.
If you have something in writing that you can submit, it would be helpful.
We do not have a dedicated policy, strategy, map analysis, or intermunicipal agreement. I'm requesting a joint Stonington Westerly Aquifer Protection Study, a mapping of recharge and vulnerability areas, joint groundwater quality monitoring, coordinated land use restrictions over recharge areas, and a former intermunicipal aquifer protection agreement with Westerly and Rhode Island water authorities. In addition, I think Stonington needs their own committee. We have an architectural review committee. We need an aquifer protection committee. We need to have people involved like the Watershed Alliance, hydrogeologists, groundwater specialists, and other relevant professionals. This is a multidisciplinary approach to ensure we protect and preserve our natural resource. Thank you.
Thank you. If you have something in writing that you can submit to us, please do. Tom Jarullo. Evening, Tom.
Good evening. I'm an attorney who practices all over the country and licensed in Connecticut. And I'm going to sort of back up my wife a little bit. I can't believe as a lawyer we don't have a joint commission between Westerly and Pawcatuck. I heard the commission's comments earlier that it's a great idea, and it is a great idea. I'm looking to overcome the thinking of this is the way it's always been done, or we signed something years ago, so I'm not sure what we're going to do. A couple of things come to mind. There's a major risk profile for Stonington when it comes to the zoning board, the approval of projects, the potential contamination of water, and having a bunch of towns in Rhode Island line up in a class action. I've mentioned this concept before the board before. That worries me for the town. There's real risk there, and annoying lawyers like me go out and search for those things and make your lives more difficult. It's a problem. I started to think about, are there other examples that we can borrow from? Well, how is Route 78 governed? It's governed by Connecticut, it's governed by Rhode Island. When there's lane closures, bridge closures, the DOTs tend to work together. It was jointly funded when it was constructed. There's got to be an approach because Westerly has the exact same risk profile as well. The stakes have changed, the climate has changed, and I think this particular program that you're putting forward, at a minimum, take a swing and put language in there saying we need to have a joint advisory board. Get something started and out there because the water's such a critical issue. It affects so many people, and it has the unique legal issue of crossing state lines. If I rob a bank and cross state lines, the FBI gets to come after me, not just the Connecticut State Police. Right? That's how it works. The water's crossing state lines, and contamination crosses state lines. You guys have a bigger problem, and I can feel it, and I can see it. You start getting that board together, I'll give you the 2 air conditioners that I have in my garage. We'll get this one a little bit cooler. Thanks for your time tonight.
Hey, Tom, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah. The MOU is the key, and I think the MOU can be rewritten. So
I think it can too. Someone's got to ask.
I think it's doable, and I think it's a good idea, and something that should be pursued. Thank you. Last speaker is Vil Maria Pence from 20 Mass Street.
I think somebody said she left.
Oh, she left. Okay. Well, I'm sorry we didn't get to her. All right. Anybody on the board have any additional comments on or questions for the development director?
Other than that, I would just recommend a motion, it would be to the September 1st special meeting. That would be where we continue to.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to continue this POCD rewrite update hearing to the next scheduled meeting, September 1st.
I would just ask before we vote on this that we try as soon as we can to get the additional materials that we talked about at the last meeting up on the website.
Absolutely.
Okay, so people have a chance before the next meeting.
Okay,
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
No second required. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
sorry to butt in on that one. There's future voting here, but new business, just a motion to accept new business.
I'm sorry, you're correct.
You are correct. Mr. Chairman, I make
accept items of new business under item 10.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept all the items that are submitted under new business.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
There's a motion on the table to adjourn.
Yes.
All in
Make a
favor?
motion to adjourn.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. 10:20.